Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to start off with doing some introductions with everybody that we have here today. We're going to be talking about the Overwatch Spotlight, reacting to it, giving our thoughts, and ultimately asking ourselves, did Blizzard cook with this Spotlight presentation? So I'm going to start off with me. I'm Valentine. I am the Overwatch team manager here at Xzile. I like to play support mostly, play a little bit of DPS, and my heroes. Uh, Currently, right now, I play a lot of sports, but mostly focused on Ana, some Juno as well, and some Kiriko. And then for DPS, I also like to play Soj and Sombra. Badwolf, introduce yourself.
Hello, hello. I am Badwolf. I am the flex support for the Overwatch competitive team. Support is my main role. My main hero is Kiriko and Ana. Although I do like to play DPS on the side, and for DPS, most of you might know me for my Widowmaker.
All right, Sapph.
Hi, I'm Sapph, or Sapph Wolf, I should say. I play support. I'm the main support for our team. I play a lot of Brig, Ana, Juno, Mercy, and I'm doing a lot of Lucio lately. So technically he's a main, but I like to keep him off my list.
All right, and Cheese.
Hey, what's up, fellas? I play tank for Exile. I play mainly Winston. Play a little bit of everyone besides Ball, but that's about it.
All right. So today we're going to be going over a couple different topics. First, we're going to start off with cosmetics. We're going to go over some of the things that were presented. We saw a lot of mythic, both skins and like the weapon skins, and just skins in general that they introduced for that we know of, at least for the next couple of seasons, as well as the new competitive award, the Galaxy skins, and then we'll talk about loot boxes. Then after that, we're going to move on to some of the new additions, which are the new stadium mode. That's a really big one. That's like the huge drop for the announcement. So we'll definitely be focusing on that as well. And talking about the new heroes that were teased. We don't know too much about them, but we're going to kind of give our general thoughts about it. And then we'll follow that with some the competitive changes. We got obviously introduced to perks. That's a big one. Going to change up the gameplay for the competitive scene. Map voting is coming down the line, as well as hero bans. And then at the end, we're going to give our final thoughts, just kind of wrap things up and go over, did they cook? How do we feel overall? And then rate the spotlight out of 10. So let's start off with the cosmetics. Let's talk
before we start, Val,
Yeah.
they're saying that we're really quiet in the chat.
Okay, let me turn you guys up. I can turn the Discord up. Is it just the Discord or is it me as well? Can put it up. Here, I put up the Discord a little bit, so let me know.
They said you as well.
Okay, let me put it myself, just a bit. Thanks, you guys. Thanks for letting me know. It should be up a little bit higher now. If it's still not enough, just say something and I'll adjust it. But yeah, let's talk about the cosmetics first. So let's start off with the new Galaxy weapon skin. So this is the new. We had the Jade before. Obviously, wasn't really received super well. But then we've been pretty excited about a new one we're gonna get for the new competitive year. It's Galaxy. I can actually pull it up for you guys so you can see how it'll look like. But yeah, Badwolf, how are you feeling
the
so
right
far?
image.
Yeah, I'll fix it. I'll fix it. What's the what's your overall opinions right now on the Galaxy?
I think they actually look really good. Like I wasn't sure what to expect. Like kind of like when they just kind of dropped the hint they're out of this world, I kind of like assumed it would be some sort of like galaxy or spacey type weapon, but I wasn't entirely sure how they were going to do it. But I think they actually like did it really well. I love the little like shining sparkles on that they did on it as opposed to like the glistening of the metals. I think it looks really good, and there are several skins I can think of already off the top of my head, like the La Seraphim skins that it'll work really well with.
Yeah, I'm definitely in a similar boat. Like I feel a lot of these skins are going to be really dependent on like what skins are in the game that will be compatible with it. And right now I can definitely think of a few, but I have a hard time like thinking one for like every character, right? So it's not something I see myself getting unless I know for sure there's a skin I want to combine it with. It was the same thing for Jade weapons. Like I definitely saw only a handful that really worked with the Jade weapon, unfortunately. So I'm hoping this one is like a little more applicable. But Sapph, like, what are you thinking so far?
Oh, okay, so we did when we heard about that the way they phrased it, like out of this world. I remember me and Bad Wolf did talk about it. We're like, oh, this better be like I think maybe you were there too, Val, but like we're like, this better be a good like galaxy like weapon skin.
Right.
And so far, I like looking at it, it's good. I feel like they could have made it look a lot better, but comparatively to the Jade skins, like oh, see, okay, this shows it off better. Never mind. So like, I was wondering, there is like a little bit more of that galaxy feel to it besides just like shiny
The
sparkles outside.
sparkles. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, that looks a lot better. Yeah, yeah. So like, I think it's really good. It could have been maybe a little better, but like, it could have been a lot worse comparatively to their like Jade one. So I'm really excited for it. I think it's gonna look really good with the Atlantic skins as well, or at least specifically Mercy's Atlantic skin and her recolor is kind of gonna be really good. And
Oh,
okay, the
yeah.
previous star, like Juno, the one skin that she came out with, that I think we all got recently, that's gonna look good. I think it's gonna look good with Starsheep. Like that whole aesthetic. I think they're doing a lot more in
Oh,
those skins, and I'm
easily,
here for it.
easily. Yeah. Like, if you have that, because that's a shop skin, right? The Starship, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
and I
If you've
want it, but I don't play Rissa.
I know. There's so many skins like that too, where I'm like, this skin is so awesome, but like, when am I ever going to use it? Because I don't play the character. um, but yeah, there's if you have that Arista skin, like you have to get this weapon skin for it. It just
Oh, for sure.
makes way too much sense.
Yeah.
But geez, what do you feel? Geez, hello.
You're
Oh, sorry,
if
my
you're
mic was muted.
You're
oh my
muted.
god.
Yeah, so I knew nothing about anything going in when I was watching the video. Like, I
Mm.
didn't even know there was gonna be a new weapon skin. And when I saw it, I just immediately thought of like Black Ops 2, 3, Dark Matter. And like I played those games
Ah.
growing up as a kid. So I'm a huge fan of it. I think definitely gonna rock it on the Winston. It's definitely better than the Jade weapons. I don't know if it beats gold for me. We'll have to find out.
Hmm.
I think it's gonna be very like skin reliant though.
I
But
think
yeah, I'm
that's
a big
exactly
fan.
why. Not to cut you off, Cheese, but like I agree with you on that. Like because it's so specific like aesthetic. It's not something that can like match a lot of stuff. It's kind of like, like I like that they're
Yeah.
dedicating it, but it almost feels like this should be a like. Granted, I don't want them to make me pay for it, but like the weapon skins that they've been doing. What do they call it? They call it something different, right?
I think they're
Oh,
just
But
mythic weapons, right?
no.
no, I know what you're talking about.
um,
It's like a, I think they actually call it the weapon skin, but I think
I think
the
it's weapon variant.
I think
oh
yeah,
yeah, weapon
one of them is, yeah.
variant. Yeah, it's either the other way around or I'm not sure, but yeah, either variant or
It
skin.
almost it almost feels like that a little bit with how specific it is, but I don't know. I still like it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not as overall like I had the word for it and I just lost it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like for the most part, at the very least, like this is an upgrade from Jade, so I feel like most people agree this
Mhm.
is better. Like this is a step in the right direction as far as like if you're gonna keep adding these as rewards for competitive, like this is much better than what Jade
Mhm.
was for us. So
Dude, just give the people what they want. We've been crying for the diamond weapons for years, man.
I
Ever
was
since gold
almost
came out,
true, yeah.
they gave
yeah,
us jade. Where's the diamond weapons?
I wouldn't
man.
even like mind like a silver like kind of platinum color, something that's like sort of like gold that is like more you can use it for more skin combinations because it's a little more neutral, like it's still cool and shiny and feels good to use, but I can feel comfortable using it with like any skin and it doesn't like distract too much, you know, from the skin's design. It's kind of like what I would want more of, but I'm also down for stuff like this that's a little more specific, and still looks really cool. Might not work for every skin, but I definitely can see myself grinding comp to like get it for a couple characters, depending on
Yeah,
the skin.
it reminds me a little bit of the paladin's weapons actually,
Do they have something similar?
because like they did the gold and then like they had the progress rewards for like cosmic. No, it's
Uh-huh.
like they did like the same galaxy thing. I think it was like bluish, but like they did the
Mhm.
same thing like with progression, like characters. You get like cosmic weapons or cosmic skins. Reminds me of that a little bit as well.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool. I didn't actually know they did something like that. I mean, obviously other games have done this. It's not like the most unique thing that they've introduced. Um, but I was not happy with the initial like gold obviously was cool. I always enjoyed gold, but I feel like it took way too long to get new ones. Now that they're finally adding new ones, I'm glad they're finally making better choices on that. And I if anything, I kind of wish they would do them a little more frequently. But it seems like it's going to be just like a yearly thing. Every year we'll get like a new color scheme and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I guess everyone's kind of in agreement. Better than Jade, and pretty exciting. But I think there's probably a lot more exciting things that were introduced during the spotlight. There are a bunch of skins they showed off. I know they showed off the different themes they're going to introduce. Like I believe it's like a season that's going to be devoted to like Doki Doki. It's like a sort of like a
Mhm.
anime kind of
Yeah.
inspired look, I believe.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Magical Girl season 16.
I feel like it'd make some money. You know, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like
Almost
that
better
would.
than the Porsche collab.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're gonna make some money off of this stuff. But yeah, did you guys? Let me see if I can actually pull up the image of um the Doki watch kind of style one. Here we go. I think I had it right here. And they probably have shown off more, but this is just kind of like what I have here. Um, but this is kind of like the style they're going for. It reminds me of Sailor
Kiriko, my
Moon.
beloved.
yeah.
Yeah, this is gonna make so much money. All of them. And I know they showed off. I think Widow has one too. Like pretty much a lot of the female characters have one.
Freya, the new hero, has one, and Juno's getting the mythic for it.
I
Ryan
like
did a
that.
Yeah, and it
dress,
looks
bro. I'll buy
good.
it.
It looks good. At
Yeah,
least the art does.
I like it, and I like when they do that. When a new character is introduced, they also like have a skin to go with. Because I hate when it's like a long time, like you're stuck with the default skin for like way too long, or like
Mhm.
just the recolors of the default skin, and not having anything cool to like start using right away. So it's always pretty cool when it's like, hey, here's a new character. Also, we have like this really cool new skin to go along with that character as well. So you won't have to just be stuck with the default. Um,
Venture Maids in Shambles.
yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, and Ramacha. Ramacha gets no love.
Oh. I mean, he
But
got Poseidon when
oh yeah,
he
that's true.
He
was
had he had
released,
a
I believe.
he had a lot of skins on his release, and he's gotten a few over the years. But yeah, it's been too long since he's gotten anything like worthwhile new.
Yes.
Yeah. And also speaking of these, I know I think in the same season Juno is getting the mythic, right? And it's like along the same
Yes,
style.
Juno is
Mm-hmm.
getting the Doki Doki Mythic, and they showed off the variants. I
Mhm.
love the black and red variant of Juno for
Yeah,
that. It,
that's
it
pretty.
looks so good.
Yeah, I like
Oh
this
my
one.
god.
This one
Yeah.
is so good to me. Um I like the color scheme. I don't know. Do I have the other styles? I don't know if I have them in here. Oh well, okay, maybe I do. Um, yeah, the color scheme is probably my favorite aspect of it personally. Um,
No, for sure.
but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I really like her my hero one, but I mean, this is probably gonna top it. Like if it looks this way in game, obviously this is kind of concept art, so subject to change and whatnot, and maybe not look exactly like this. But if it's anything like this, it's probably gonna replace my collab one. But yeah, Sapph, what are your overall thoughts on this mythic skin?
Um, I think it looks very pretty. It's very well designed, but they always cook with their like their what do you call it? Their art, like their concept art for skins.
Mhm.
But it always looks really good. It's just the execution to in game that I'm a little concerned about. So if they maintain the style and like kind of flowy, wispy feel of this, then I think it's gonna look really great. But I'm a little nervous to see what it looks like in game. But they've been doing a lot better lately as far as like the execution of the concept art. I remember like early Overwatch 1, I remember being disappointed a lot with seeing like, oh, this was the concept art for this skin? What the, like that kind of thing.
Right.
Um, I think I'm more confident that they'll execute it like pretty well.
Okay. Uh, Cheese, you're like the one not support player here, person that probably won't ever really play Juno much. Like, what are your thoughts on the skin, and like, does this do anything at all for you to like maybe try her out or want to play the character?
Honestly, I'm like a number one Juno hater. I don't like
Oh.
any of her skins at
Okay,
all.
all right.
But like,
Okay.
but like this one, like you said, the concept art looks good. I'm a little worried about the end game, how it looks, but I mean, I like the art. It looks cool. I like the little whales flying around
Yeah.
in
Oh,
the
the
Yeah,
like the
the
black and
whales
red
are the
variant. Looks
sharks.
cool.
I think they're sharks, right?
What?
Or is it
Wait,
are
different
they
depending
gonna
on?
be in the actual skin, we think? Because like
I
I'm worried.
I think
I'm
it's
like
supposed
worried
to
They
be
about
her
the
they are
torpedoes, right?
yeah,
Her
they
little
confirmed
torpedo.
that that's gonna be the torpedo
that's the
launchers. They have
torpedoes. Oh
Yeah,
my
they have
gosh.
names as well. I don't remember them off the top of my head, but yeah, they
Shaq
have
and Kobe.
actual names.
What the names you said? Jeez.
Shaq and Kobe.
Heck yeah,
No.
it's definitely Shaq and Kobe. Is what they are. All right. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's a really good skin. Like, I really hope it's implemented in the way that it's shown in the concept art. But yeah, I mean, I think this is nearly a 10 out of 10 for me. I'm definitely gonna pick it up. I obviously played Juno, so it helps to because I feel like a lot of the mythics are pretty cool, but it always sucks when it's like, do I spend my mythic prisms on a skin for a character I'm not gonna play, even if it's really cool? Like Reaper looks really awesome and he has like cool effects and everything. But I mean, I only play him so much, right? But
Mhm.
obviously, when they come out with a character that is very popular right now for a lot of support players, it's awesome to see them add a new mythic because pretty much everyone's you're gonna be seeing this all over the place. And I can't wait to see the effects too. I was like, that's another thing that mythics do really awesome is it has like cool sound effects and visual effects, and there's so much creativity they can do because she has it's not just like a character you fly around and shoot a gun. She has like the little torpedoes as well. She has the ring. The ring can change and look really cool. It can maybe be like heart shaped or something like that. Like some sort of like different design would be really, really sick. So I am
But while we're on
super
this
excited.
screen, I just want to say
Mhm.
real quick. I know this is a little off topic, but to anyone who plays Yu-Gi-Oh in the current meta, does like the black and red Juno just not remind you of Malice Heartscriptor?
Mm,
Because
okay.
Malice is the deck I play competitively right now, and the boss monster Heartscriptor, it literally looks almost exactly like the skin does. It's actually kind of crazy.
And this color option, they have it in listed as corrupted evil. I wonder like what inspiration they have to, because obviously they have names for like even like the recolors themselves. It's not just like, oh, I just want a red color scheme. Like there's some sort of inspiration behind them. So I'm always kind of curious. Obviously we don't get to always like hear from the art team and exactly like what the inspiration is behind some of the stuff is, but I think it's pretty cool. Just the amount of thought they put into even just the colors they choose. Is pretty awesome. We also got to see, this is like kind of further ahead, but we did get to see Diva as well. I think it's the one after, right? Maybe season 17, 18 maybe?
Diva,
or forward.
yeah, I believe Diva's season 17.
Yeah. And
She's a cat girl.
I
But she's a white tiger girl.
Okay. But yeah, I think
Like
she's
it's
pretty cool.
actually based off some sort of, I don't remember if it's Japanese or Chinese lore, but like it's based off lore, and she's supposed to be a white tiger.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I can definitely see it now looking at the other concept arts here. The kind of inspiration.
That looks really good.
Yeah, no, this one definitely looks really cool. I can only imagine it takes a lot of effort to do characters like Diva, Wrecking Ball, Ramatra. They have just so many components to them that they have to redesign to make it still feel like a mythic and not feel like, you know, they're buying a little too much from the original design. So I can imagine something like this took a lot of time. But
Yeah,
geez,
I remember.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I remember like talking about like the designing. They said when they announced this skin that Diva is so hard to like make good quality concept skins for, because she has the mech and the pilot, and you have to like deal with everything. But like they said, a lot of thought and effort went into making this one as good as it could be. So I'm excited to see it in game.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm definitely excited, and I kind of wanted to go to Cheese, and you know he plays tank, so and I know he plays a decent amount of Diva. I know you're more of a Winston player. You're probably waiting for that Winston mythic skin to arrive eventually. But how do you feel about this skin? You think you'd rock this one for Diva?
So you guys know I'm also a #1 Diva hater.
Yeah.
I hate this character. Hate playing them. Hate playing against them. #1 op.
Dang.
But that being said, I own 0 mythic skins besides the Genji one from the Battle Pass. But I'd low-key probably buy this one. I think it
Okay.
looks really good. The only thing like I don't like about it is like the tiger face. I think it looks a tiny bit goofy. But, like besides
Yeah.
that, I love like the aura around it, you know? Like over the top on the final rendition. And the
Okay.
I like the blue color a lot. I'm not a huge fan of the pink one, but you know, I like the skin overall. I'll probably buy it.
Okay. Sapph, any thoughts?
I think it's cool. I think it, kind of what Badwolf mentioned, that it's probably a little difficult to change the basic silhouette of the mech or make it look super unique, because like it just looks like the mech but with like little things like stuck on top of the mech. That could be my like crazy take there, but like I don't know, it's just like some kind of like whatever, you know, but like it still looks good. It still looks good. And now that I know it's like a white tiger, it kind of makes it cooler too. Like I probably will get it because I get like each season's pass, and I've been stocking up because like some of them I get, some of them I don't get, but I think it's good. One thing I do want to say is I'm kind of sad that they showed so many of the mythics coming up, because I kind of like the anticipation of like who's gonna get it, what's it
Yeah,
gonna be.
I kind of agree on that. Yeah.
So I was like, cool, aw, you know, like I don't know, I don't know if
I
anyone else shares that, but
Oh yeah, I
I
feel the same way.
mhm. I feel the same as well. At the same time, I kind of like being able to know in advance, because obviously in order to obtain these things you need to use your mythic prisms, like a resource you have in the game, to acquire these things. So it kind of makes me realize, okay, I can kind of pass on that season, but I can go for that season instead. Like, you know, we also get mythic weapons as well, right? Sometimes it's like you only get enough prisms to get one or the other, right? So it can help me decide kind of like future, you know, and I have that sort of foresight to know like, okay, I can afford to skip on this weapon and get the skin instead. I mean, next season I get the weapon instead of the skin because it's for a character I don't really play. You know what I mean? I kind of like that though. But I get the idea too of like the anticipation is part of the excitement, part of the hype, and it takes away from that a little bit. But I think let's be honest, they're probably just trying to like give us as much as possible in the spotlight because it's sort of like it's a way to kind of we also missed BlizzCon, right? Last year we didn't have one. So I think
Yeah.
it's been a while since they've had a huge like content drop like reveal thing. So I think they were trying to cram a lot of things in here to really restore some of that hype for things to come. So that's probably why we got a little more revealed than we normally do in these situations. I imagine.
Yeah, I imagine this was supposed to be like their replacement for a huge BlizzCon announcement for Overwatch.
Yeah. That's really what it felt like to me. It felt like kind of like a BlizzCon reveal for the most part. But also, I'm gonna go over. I just want to kind of go over the rest of the cosmetics, and then we're gonna move on to loot boxes. But the last one is the Zenyatta Mythic skin. It's one for the season about to come up. I don't actually think I have an image here, unfortunately, for it. But it's in the trailer. If you've watched the trailer, most people probably have seen the season 15 trailer. But yeah, Badwolf, what do you feel overall about the Zenyatta skin? Is it replacing the collab one at all for you? Is like, what are your thoughts?
Well, actually, I don't even use any of the collab skins for Zenyatta. I don't really play that much Zenyatta in the first place, but like, I tend to just use the J Jonak Zenyatta skin from season 1 of Overwatch League.
Okay, that's a good
But,
one. I can't blame you, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to like see it in game for myself before I make the decision on it, but I think I might give it a miss, just more simply because of the Widowmaker mythic weapon coming with the mid season.
That's fair. Yeah, that's you do have to choose between the two, which kind of stinks. But yeah, I can kind of feel you on that. I don't play Widowmaker, so to me, it's gonna be a little bit of a miss for season 15, just because I don't play a ton of Zenyatta, and I'm already kind of content with the collab skin, and then I don't play Widowmaker as well, so it's kind of like I don't know what to use my prisms on for season 15. But luckily, the future ones are really kind of catered more towards me, so I'm excited about those. But how do you feel, Sapph? Do you kind of feel the same way? I don't know if you play a ton of Zenyatta.
I don't play a lot of Zenyatta, but I have this thing where I'm trying to get like a really good skin that I love for each of the support characters, and I don't really have one for Zen.
Okay.
Like I just never really came across one I liked, but this one is kind of a there's parts of me that really like it because I look at the little details of it. I'm like, that's cool. He's like armored. That's really cool. He has kind of like a helm a little bit. It has like the hair. Like this, it looks cool. It's just something's missing. I'm not really sure what it is, but like I don't know. It's like I don't know. It's like I like it at the same time I can't say that I love it. I can't figure out why.
Yeah, I think
It might be the
One
color
thing I
schemes.
do, one thing I do want to add to that. Have you seen the way his ult looks with the mythic skin?
It's huge, right?
It's like a ring of fire, like a ring of like sunlight around, like sun. I don't know how to describe it, but like the ult actually look it's way brighter. It looks pretty cool. I don't know if that's enough for me to get it personally, but like that might be something you could consider as well if you're on the edge about it.
Okay. Yeah, I think overall for me, it's. I want to say it's mid, but that's like mythic skins are really cool,
It's
so it's
just
not really
whatever.
it's not like a. It's not to say it's bad. It's just say like compared to all the mythic skins that are out there, it kind of sits in the middle for me, personally. And it sounds like for you too, right? Cheese, like you're just not really, you're kind of whatever.
It
about
reminds me. It reminds me of like the Arista one a little bit. Like I don't really feel any type of way about it. It's just kind of mid. Like it's whatever. Take it or leave it.
Gotcha.
I won't be spending any money on it. But I don't play
Okay.
Zenyatta either, so you know.
Have any of y'all watched Arcane?
I have.
I have
It
not.
reminds
I have
me of
not.
Ascended Victor.
Okay, dude.
Like, okay, maybe I think I might be a
League
little
of
brain
Legends reference
rotted.
in Overwatch, by the way.
I have never played League. I just like Arcane, but
Uh,
it reminds me of Ascended Victor a little bit. But I think I might be brain rotted for Arcane. So I see anything that's
Fair
red
enough.
and blue, and yeah, like yeah, that just might be me.
All right. Other than the mythic skins, we obviously have the mythic weapon that's coming in season 15. The Widowmaker one. I think it looks super sick. I just don't play Widowmaker at all, so it's a real shame because I think this is like probably one of my favorite designs that they've introduced for a mythic skin. And they have some pretty sick ones. Like I really like Anna's. Anna's is currently my favorite. I love the animation. Obviously, we don't know the animations of this is going to be just yet. We just see the artwork. But I think this design is sick. Badwolf, I know you play Widowmaker. I know you're gonna get this. Like, what are your thoughts?
I love it. I love the detail on the scope, how like the eye pattern matches her visor. I love the way like the arms come out when you're not scoped in to it's just like I love it so much. Like day one buy for me, 100%. This gun looks amazing. I'm gonna rock it for eternity.
Nice. Cheese, you got any thoughts on this one?
yeah, it looks pretty cool. I like how it, like discombobulates itself. You know, I like the little webs attaching. Maybe when you're running it, you may have like a vision issue. Maybe a pay to lose skin. I don't know. Got the arms reaching out like that. But yeah, cool effects. Uh, I'm not like a huge fan of like the barrel part. It just
Hmm.
looks like glass or like some form of energy or whatever. But the rest of it's cool. I like it.
Okay. Sapph?
Um, I kind of want to see it in game before I like fully decide how I feel about it. But for now, like, and when I initially look at it, I love it. But the more I look at it, the more I don't like it. Cause I feel like they were doing like a deadly like kind of gothic feel, but then there's like the random purple energy like thing going on with it. I'm also not the biggest fan of how geometric it looks.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, because it's not as like elegant to me. I really like Widow's like elegant stuff, but like I said, I
Too
kind
many
of want to
sharp
see.
angles.
Yeah, like I kind of want to see how it looks in game if it has that same feel or not. But that's my initial thoughts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, how do
Fun
you?
fact for me.
Mhm.
Sorry,
Go ahead. Go
if
ahead.
you were gonna ask her. No, I was just gonna say fun fact for me. I'm actually very superstitious with what widow skin I use, specifically based on how the gun looks. So like, to me, it's also more of like being able to use the same gun model no matter what skin I'm using. Like that'll also take a lot of pressure off me as well, because like back in Overwatch 1, I never used anything except for Kerrigan, specifically because I was super superstitious about Kerrigan's gun actually making me aim better, as stupid as that sounds.
I kind of know what you're talking about. I feel that way with some of Anna's guns. Like, you know her I forget what it's called, but the one where it's kind of like an army skin and she has like this really big rifle.
Yes,
Yeah.
I
sniper.
feel that way with that one. I feel like my aim is a lot clunkier when I use it. But I can't tell if it's in my head or if it's like actually affecting it. So I get
I
what you
felt the
mean.
same way, specifically because the bipod blocks so much of your line of sight.
Hmm.
Hmm. That's fair. That's fair. I mean, that is an element. Like, obviously, if we're like a bit more competitive players than normal, there's obviously more casual people who don't care that much about it. But yeah, I'm the same way. Like the model of the weapon, if it's like too big, it just covers too much of my screen. It bothers me too much, and I feel like I'm not gonna see something important. I don't know. It's a little obviously overblown in my head, but it's like okay, I don't like that this covers up like half my screen. Um,
A widow 1v1 and like they're completely covered by your little arm that's coming out of the gun.
yeah,
Like where did I just get
exactly.
a shot from? Like hello? I paid
Um,
$50 for this?
yeah. No, I mean it comes with it. You're obviously trading off like the look of the gun versus like maybe some small advantage disadvantage you might gain or lose depending on using it. Um, but it kind of comes with the territory. Some mythic skins too, like the character model, just like your head, like you have a thing on your head that just like makes your model look taller. Obviously, it's not like a hitbox thing. Like people can't necessarily. You're not going to die more often, but like you might get seen behind like a box or something like that more often because you have like this giant hat on your head or something silly like that.
Mhm.
Widowmaker has a huge hat, that kind of thing. But so as far as this weapon, Sapph, you kind of give me your opinions, but like, how do you feel it compares to the Reaper one that was shown off? And this is really early concept art. Like you can see, it's kind of just still like early stages. But how do you feel it compares to this one?
Oh, this one eats. Like when I saw this, I was like, I have no complaints. Like as long as it like fits whatever they draw here in the game, I'm like that is really good. This is one of the best skins they've ever made, in my opinion. It's
Yeah.
a dedicated aesthetic. Like nothing feels out of place. It's very clean. It's very unique. Like it fits his character very well. It's very well made, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah. I think it will look cool with his mythic skin too. Like I can see it kind of going with it a bit. So
Hmm.
um, yeah, I definitely want to see the different combinations with this gun with his skins. But Badwolf, and how do you feel about this one?
I love that the guns are different in each hand. I
Yeah.
love
Ooh.
that.
Hmm.
I love that detail so much, and like I really like Reaper's mythic skin, and I feel like these guns will go very very well with the mythic skin, especially like once you get up to level 3 and like the corruption is taking over the gun. I just feel like it'll fit so well.
Hmm.
Mhm. No, I'm sure. I definitely agree with that. It's that again attention to detail they put into these mythics. That's something I wouldn't even consider them really feeling the need to do because they could easily just make both the guns the same, but they kind of went out of their way. So I always appreciate that. Do you feel the same way, Cheese?
Yeah, kind of. I like the design, like the blue and black flames. Are the guns the same, like both, like left and right?
They're slightly
No, they're
different.
different.
Yeah, like they're
Oh,
meant to be
okay.
like a
the
little
the
different.
color the color yeah, the color palettes are flipped. Like sorry, frog in my throat. If you see like the white one on the top, that's his left hand, and then the gray one on the bottom is his right hand. You can kind of see how the color palettes are flipped.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that's cool. I like that they're different colors. I'm a big fan of like the aura, if you will,
Okay.
of the gun. I think it fits his character well.
Yeah. And then we also got another one. I think it's going to go along with the Doki style of theme that we're going to be getting in a future season. I think this one's going to be a really popular one for a very popular hero, and it is the Mercy one. See if I can pull it up here for you guys. There it is. Yeah, I think this one is going to be. You're going to see this one everywhere. I feel. Um, just the style of it. I think it kind of fits the kind of people who play Mercy. And yeah, how are you feeling about this one, Sapph?
Um, I won't lie. I thought when I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, Mercy," and like, "Oh, I really love it." And then like when I first, when I instantly like give it like 2 seconds, and I was like, "This looks childish,"
It's a little
and
too
not
too
in a
silly.
like kawaii aesthetic. Like it looks, yeah. Now the staff I feel a little differently about, but this makes me think of a child's toy.
Yeah, I
Staff
like
looks a
the
little
staff.
better.
Yeah, the staff is kind of neat concept. Like it, you normally have like a different design at the top, but they completely
Mhm.
replace it with this animal thing here they have going on. Um, so yeah, it's a different feel for sure. I guess my concern would be like, what skin do you pair it with? Like you'd have to come up
Mhm.
with a skin, maybe like the pink skin, from the charity, can go along with this one. Um, but it might clash with some different styles that she has for skins. Um,
That's yeah, I agree with that. There's not really I mean, I'm pretty familiar with their skins. I used to try to collect them, and I still kind of do. I don't buy every single one because now that costs real money, but like
mhm.
I can't really think of too many that this would look really good with. So it's a little like it's very cool though. It does
Yeah.
look cool, but unfortunately, doesn't really seem to fit a lot of her skins, in my opinion.
Okay. Cheese, how you feel about this? I know you probably don't play Mercy ever, but or just general thoughts at all you have.
Yeah, about 0 hours of playtime over my entire career. Um, it's okay. I don't like how like the front of it, like the staff part, like the tip, is like
Mm.
completely gone. Like it just
Mm.
replaced by bear.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like that, I'm not a huge fan of that. But I
It's a
mean,
little weird.
Yeah, I don't really know if I want a bear staring at me the whole time while I play the game.
Might be a little
Like, that thing
creepy. He's
looks
just staring at you
it
as
looks
you
a little
play the game.
malevolent, I'm not gonna lie. But, you know, the designs or whatever, you know? I'm not gonna be jumping up and down for it.
Bad
Nice
Wolf,
colors.
does a bear scare you at all? Does it bother you? How do you feel about him?
Uh, no, it doesn't bother. The bear doesn't bother me at all. I'm all for it, but I just feel like it doesn't fit the aesthetic of any Mercy skin I like to use.
Yeah.
Because
Hmm.
I really like Mercy's mythic skin, so I tend to use that. And the other skins I use, they're all like very dark, very dull colors. So like having this bright blue rainbow gun when I'm like wearing all black with an owl mask is just like it doesn't fit.
That's fair. No, that's definitely fair. I mean, this could obviously change with time. So maybe it's one of these you pick up later. Obviously, you can just grab these mythics down the line. There's like a mythic shop, so you know, maybe there comes a time where there's a skin that's just like absolutely perfect for it, and pick it up. Because I think the design is cool, but I agree it has the problem of like, what am I going to use this with though? Like, it just doesn't really go along with anything that she currently has as of now. So who knows? It could change with time. Um, but yeah, those are all the mythics. We got shown a lot of stuff regarding that, so pretty cool to see. But it does mean for a while we won't be kind of getting any new reveals probably. But as far as the last thing with cosmetics, they announced that they were gonna reintroduce loot boxes. And I know that's kind of divisive. Like some people, hate loot boxes; they just don't like them as a concept. But some people also felt Overwatch 1 had like very fair loot boxes, and in fact, like if you play the game a lot, you would get a ton of loot boxes for free, and you essentially would just get cosmetics for free. And you really didn't have to spend any money if you were just like a hardcore gamer, just playing all the time. You would get a bunch of boxes, a bunch of skins for free. People either love it or they hate the concept of loot boxes. And from what I can tell, from what they've kind of not just from the video, from the spotlight itself, but if you kind of been listening on some of the interviews and whatnot, it sounds like the loot boxes are still pretty fair as far as like the odds are kind of not as good as before Overwatch 1 days. We're not going to get those glory days of like, you just can easily farm every skin possible. The odds are a little more strict as far as like rarities go, and I think it takes like 1 in 20 loot boxes to like guarantee that legendary, whereas before it was a little more lenient. Um, but from the most part, it's still kind of sticking to that old style loot box. It doesn't seem predatory. I don't think you can even buy them either. So it's really just like a free reward for playing the game. You play the game, you get loot boxes, you get cosmetics. Obviously, you don't get to decide what they are, but hey, I don't know about you guys, but I'm cool with free. Like free is a word I like, and I like my cosmetics in Overwatch, and I will never say no to getting a loot box and getting something for free. But she's how do you feel about loot boxes in general? Does it excite you at all? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. I've played this game like for 6 years. I was like 12 when I first started playing, and I remember like every event that they would release, like summer event, Christmas event, I would get so excited, and I would like drop $50 each event just to open these loot boxes. Like that was like the highlight of my year. It's just these events, and you know, now like Overwatch 2 came out and they got rid of them. And all the skins kind of became like you have to pay for skins now. I have like no skins on this account on my main account because I just don't pay for them. But them adding like a free way, like a new free way to get skins again and their loot boxes is like it's a double win for me. Uh, I'm a big fan of loot boxes, big fan of free. I think it's gonna be a good thing. Bring some. It gives like incentive for people like the people that only play quick play or arcade. They don't really care too much about competitive. It gives them incentive to like play again, to get the new skins and just free stuff in general. It feels more rewarding for them.
Mhm. No, I agree. I agree. I mean, I only see the positive side of it. I don't really see how it can be. I know some people like just don't like loot boxes because it rubs them the wrong way from other games and whatnot. But I think Blizz was always very fair about their loot boxes, so I don't really see how this is like bad in any way. I just feel like, hey, here's another way to get rewards, and you're not paying. You're not having a we get free rewards every once in a while, but usually it's like a skin for a Twitch drop. That's like an old shop skin. They throw us a bone every once in a while. Just like, hey, go watch a stream for 5 hours and you get the skin, right? But to be able to just like kind of farm it through loot boxes instead, like I'm okay with that because I play the game enough to probably snag like whatever they offer, whatever challenges they offer. So, Badwolf, I know you've been playing for a very long time as well. You've probably been playing the longest out of all of us. I know you've been playing since like the beta, right? Since Overwatch 1
Yeah,
beta?
I have been playing since the original Overwatch open beta on console. I was a Tracer one trick on console in the beta. So yeah, I've been playing this game for a very, very, very long time. And before I like get more into my opinion on like them coming back, I kind of want to expand a little bit on like I can't talk. The specifics of how they're supposed to be like earned and stuff. So, because I watched Emong interview Aaron Keller, and that was one of the things they brought up was the loot boxes, and so they'll be completely free. There is no possible way to buy them in game. They will be on the free battle pass track as well as through like event challenges, weekly challenges. Like they're basically just handing them out like candy. I think Aaron said that there's likely to be 100 or more in season 15 given out for free.
Jeez.
And they also have dupe protection on them. Like, so
Yeah,
like
it was
if
like that in
you
Overwatch 1
if you
too. Yeah.
it's different than Overwatch 1's was. The way it works, I think it's subject to change, but the way they said currently that it's supposed to work is like, say you roll a legendary shop skin that you already have, instead of giving you like 300 currency back for it, it re-rolls it to a skin you don't have.
Okay. That's really nice.
So
Do we know if the skins you get are like just old Overwatch 1 skins, or do we know if they're gonna be like Overwatch 2 and new skins as well?
they confirm that there's Overwatch 2 shop skins in the loot boxes
Okay.
as well
Ooh.
as like Overwatch 1 event skins. So like they've confirmed that we're getting a lot of stuff. Like I think I don't want to say a random number, but I think they said multiple hundreds of options of stuff to get.
That
in
was
the
a random number.
boxes. Oh my god! Oh my god! You know what I mean. But yeah, there's a lot of options, both new and old, to get from the loot boxes. So if you just grinded Overwatch 1 and had every Overwatch 1 skin, there's still like incentive to get the loot boxes. So
That's good.
that being said, my rambling about like the more specifics of the loot boxes themselves is over. I really like how they've been re-implemented. I like that you can't just go and buy them. I like that they're earned through gameplay, and I also like that they're not hard to earn through gameplay. So it gives even casual players who can only play an hour or two a day, 3 days a week, it still gives them a way to earn free cosmetics that you wouldn't normally be able to get before. So I really like how it's implemented. I really like how it's done, and I'm
Okay.
glad they're back.
Awesome. Sapph, how are you feeling about the loot boxes returning?
Before we discussed it, I initially didn't know too much about it, just besides them saying loot boxes are back, you can earn them for free or in like the battle pass. I'm like, okay, cool. I wasn't really sure if it includes shop skins, but Badwolf, you said you've confirmed that it does.
Yes, Aaron
Okay.
Keller confirmed that it does.
Okay. So I'm a lot more excited about it now because I've played since like 2017. I got a lot of shit from the Overwatch 1 like loot boxes and stuff. I was there when like I don't know if they had duplicates the entire time. I swear I remember the time where it's like you would get the same things in the loot box sometimes. You're like, "Oh
Yeah,
my
early
gosh, they
on,
had
or
that."
very early, yeah.
Okay. Um
Yeah, the dupe protection in Overwatch 1 was if you got a dupe, you just got some currency back so you could buy other stuff from the
yeah.
hero gallery.
But I'm a lot more excited now that I know it includes shop skins. I don't know if there's like a limit to which ones or if it's like during this time it can include this skin or so and so, but I'm excited to see what they do with it.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, it seems like for the most part, like the cosmetic stuff, like was pretty good. Like there weren't really any misses at all.
Mm.
Obviously, something like cosmetics is going to be a little more subjective. People are going to have different opinions on what they like or dislike. But yeah, I mean, it seems like overall, at least with our group here, like pretty positive about the cosmetics that they showed off during the spotlight. But I do want to move on to next topic, just like the new additions, things that are absolutely brand new that we have not seen before. Obviously, heroes are like such a huge um, pull for Overwatch. I feel like every time a new hero comes out, like there's just a lot more players playing the game because they all want to try this new hero. It easily shakes up the meta and like us as competitive players. Like obviously that's a concern for us. There's like how the game plays differently for us. Introducing a new hero, but they should have 2 heroes. I'm gonna go over. Let's do the one that we know the least about first, just to get kind of general impressions quickly about how we feel about his design. He doesn't have a name right now, I believe. The code name is just Aqua. But he is, I believe, a support, right? I don't know if they've confirmed that, but I do remember.
They confirmed
like,
he's a support.
Awesome. Okay, yeah. So he
But-
is a support. Yeah, we don't really know other than he has like a staff. He has like a kind of a staff, and he's Chinese. They mentioned that he's Chinese. But yeah, Badwolf. What are your thoughts on Aqua? Just overall design. How do you feel about him?
Like, overall design, I think it's kind of cool that they brought a waterbender from Atla immediately after finishing an Atla collab. I think that's kind of cool.
Mhm.
I don't know, like they haven't revealed much of anything about his kit, but I've heard rumors that his primary fire is supposed to be like nothing else we've seen in Overwatch. So I'm kind of excited to see what that kind of entails. But overall, like I hope he's like actually good, actually fun to play. I hope he's another Juno and not another Lifeweaver.
Yeah, I heard in an interview them describe his weapon to like be a different style of shooting that we haven't seen before, and I'm just excited to hear that because I mean that's what I like about Overwatch. There's so many different types of characters and playstyles and weapon types. We have rocket launchers, we have shotguns, we have all kinds of things, and I always like when they introduce something new. I like that level of variety in the hero pool. Obviously, as somebody who plays support, like that's important to me. Just to have enough variety within that category, that not too many characters feel too similar. So I'm glad to hear that because that's like first and foremost like what I care about. It's like, hey, is he going to be different enough to like me for me to care? Okay, cool. Like that's what I want. As far as design goes, I mean, I think he looks pretty cool. Like I have no problems with the design. He looks pretty sick. He's got like a water thing going on. I'm down for that. But yeah, so I'm pretty excited to try him out. Obviously, it's not until a while from now, but pretty cool concept art so far that we see from him. Sapph, he also plays support. What are your thoughts on potentially playing this character in the future?
I am trying to figure out based on this concept art. I probably shouldn't. I'll be way off. But I'm trying to figure out what his healing is and what his damage is. And a lot of things are flitting through my mind because I'm like, okay, that's a staff, but it can't be purely melee, right? Like, surely it's something that can shoot, or like I don't know. Like, I feel like I thought you said that or something that like he can shoot with it, or like
It was described. Yeah,
could be
well,
wrong.
I don't know if it's not necessarily like shoot is the word I should even use. Because maybe it is more like a melee weapon, but they described it as like a different weapon type, like something that is
Okay.
unique from what we've seen before. That's what I heard in an interview, at least. So, but I don't. He obviously didn't like reveal what it was, so it's all at this point speculation on what it could be.
I would totally be down to try him. I just it will be dependent on his play style, like if I end up really liking him or not. It's kind of it's making me a little intrigued because I'm like, if that is like a melee weapon, like if they're wanting him to be played a bit more like Brawly or something, but I could be wrong. But like I'm just like different play styles are like coming to my mind right now. I'm trying to figure out what it could be, but that would be really interesting if he was like another Brawly healer.
Okay. Geez, I know you're not much of a support player, but like, what do you think about his design? Like how he looks?
I think he looks cool. I've talked to you guys before about recent designs for characters. He doesn't necessarily look like an Overwatch character to me. I don't know. Like there's just something off about him. But I think his like design is cool. It just doesn't really scream Overwatch to me. In terms of like his gun or like his staff, just like looking at it, there's like a little hole in the front and the back. Maybe it's like I hate to draw Marvel Rivals comparisons here. Maybe it's like Jeff the Land Shark's like bubbles that he shoots out. Maybe like he shoots out like bubbles that do
Mm.
damage. Like they just stand or heal. Like they just stay there for a little bit. Uh, and they just kind of float. Uh, that's kind of
Mm.
what comes to mind for me. Um, he probably maybe has like Genji mobility. I don't know. I think it'll be cool. I like supports that are more like proactive, like move around and stuff. And if he is like brawly, that maybe, you know.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I mean, obviously this is still concept, so a lot of it is just everyone speculation. So there's a lot of i- it's hard to have form an opinion right now, right? Obviously, because we just don't know all the details just yet. But I think overall, just general impressions, like pretty solid, pretty cool. But we need a little bit more to kind of maybe have a better opinion. But we did see a bit more of the other hero that was revealed. Name was Freya, I believe.
Mhm.
Yeah, Freya.
DPS, right? I'm pretty sure it looks straight up DPS to me, so I'm assuming it's DPS
Yeah,
hero.
she's a damage hero. Yes.
Gotcha. We see some concepts here like the weapon style that she has going on. I think it looked pretty cool, and I'm glad we got to actually see a little bit of the gameplay and just kind of get a general feel of like how the crossbow works, things like that. And we saw more with this character, so I have a more solid opinion of like I definitely want to try them out. Like I like her design, like it's just like the way she looks. But the weapon type too is pretty cool. I I don't play a ton of Hanzo, but I do like the concept of like a bow kind of weapon. And something a little different than Hanzo is kind of what I've been wanting to see for a while. But still kind of similar to him. So I definitely want to try her out when she it releases. But Sapph, how do you feel about Freya?
Um, I think she looks pretty cool. I like how diverse her kit seems, and that she's not really like, oh, it's like it's just a name character, or it's like, oh, it's just a mind character. It's like not that kit. Like she has different things she can do, which is pretty cool. Seems like she has a little bit of mobility. She has a little utility. She has, kind of like a very skill based weapon, from what they said, anyways. I don't know, like that makes me kind of excited to try her. Like I don't feel like she really has a shtick. Um, I think she looks cool. I think they're gonna probably do a lot of skins for her. Um, she looks kind of like a potential, poster child for Overwatch, at least skin wise. But I don't know, like I'm kind of excited to play her, even though I don't really play DPS.
Okay. Cheese. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I'm not like a huge fan of her design, like visually. Um, I think like all the girls in Overwatch kind of look the same, like to me.
Mhm.
It's kind of just their art style, but she looks like Widowmaker or Mercy or any other of them. Uh, it also just looks like Cassie from Paladins as well, the other crossbow ginger character
Yeah,
from the
similar
other
stuff.
hero
Yeah,
shooter.
similar look.
Um, yeah, so yeah, I'm not like a huge fan. It also just looks kind of like uninspired to me. And this one looks a little bit more like Overwatch than the other character, but it just doesn't look like they weren't like very creative with it, you know? Like it doesn't seem like the greatest design. But
Okay.
that like gameplay wise, she seems fun. I like the bullet ultimate. Uh, the gun, I like how you can scope in. It doesn't like there's obviously no scope, but you can zoom in and out for like the charge shot. I think that's pretty cool. Another one of those high skill characters. Uh, yeah. Do we know if it's like hit scan like the bow?
It's a fast projectile. It's
Okay.
I want to say somewhere between Hanzo and Kiriko.
Is it like Sojourn kind of?
That's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking.
Sojourn primary is a good way to describe it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think it'll be cool. You know, I don't really play DBS, but I'll give her a try. Formulate some opinions after that.
Okay. Badwolf, how you feel?
I am very excited to try her. Like she seems like she focuses a lot on like use your movement cooldowns to get into a position to like hover in the air for a second while you charge a right click and like fire an explosive crossbow bolt, and then like she's got the primary fire of like just the quick repeating crossbow. I think is really cool. Just from her gameplay, from what I've seen a couple streamers that were playing her during the spotlight. Like she seems like a mix of a few characters that I like already actively play and enjoy playing, so I really feel like I'm gonna enjoy playing her.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this character. More excited than Aqua right now, but that could obviously change if when Aqua is kind of shows off like exactly what their kit is supposed to do. I'm gonna see more of a support player, but I play a ton of DPS as well, so I can definitely see myself putting a lot of time into this character. I like the design. I don't have a problem at all with her design. I think she looks really cool. And I'm super excited for this character more than I have been in a while. I mean, the last one I was excited for, Juno was a big win for me, but Malga, Venture, like not nearly as excited. They were kind of like interesting concepts, but I wasn't nearly as hyped for those as I am for this character when they eventually release. But yeah, we have more than just heroes that got introduced, brand new content. The biggest one by far, I feel, out of the spotlight was Stadium. It's like a completely new concept to the game. I don't even know if to call it like a game mode, because it's like you still play the game modes of Overwatch, and it's like an extra layer on top of that, where you get to have like sort of talents you pick from. You get all these cool. It's kind of like the perks that you also get in the game, but you can kind of like almost feels like RPG like, right? Like it has ways to kind of tailor the characters that you play into a completely new way. And I think if there's ever anything in this spotlight that could pull in new players, that could pull in people to come back and try Overwatch, I think this is what they're banking on. They're banking on Stadium being a hit to kind of pull in some new attention, because it is clearly going to be something that I feel people want to try out. But that's my opinions. I'm curious what you guys think, if this is sort of a hit or a miss with you guys. Badwolf, like, how do you feel right now about Stadium?
From what I've seen of Stadium, it looks like it's really cool. Like, I love all the like how in depth the customization of all of your heroes can get in the Stadium. And it's also like it's a best of seven, I believe, of like mini maps. Like you play one round of Control that's got a sped up timer, or you play a game of Push where like it's only like 2/3 as big as the map, or just stuff like that. I love that concept of it. It stops it from like just being boring going to like round 3 on your 6th Control map, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I do really like it. I feel kind of weird that it's only in competitive mode. There's no like quick play Stadium. It's only a competitive game mode. I think that's a little weird, but aside from that, like I think there's just so much in depth, so much customization that like if you find something that works for you, I'm sure that you you can like get so much enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, I think we had mentioned too. This might have been before we started the podcast. We were talking a little bit, and we mentioned how a lot of this stuff is clearly carried over from like what was going to be the PvE stuff. But I think they chose a really good way to turn this stuff into PvP stuff, right? Where you get to do all the cool, unique things that we were expecting in PvE, where it was like, hey, you Reinhardt, but you get to charge into them with your shield up and just crazy stuff like that. Characters that can barely have mobility suddenly have mobility, things like that. But I'm glad that they were able to take those elements and rework it into some sort of game mode for the game. So that stuff isn't like lost to time, right? Like I was really excited about talent when I heard about talent and I heard about the hero missions, things like that. From way back when, what was that, like 2019, whenever they revealed all the Overwatch 2 stuff. I was pretty excited about all that stuff, and I was a little sad to see that we wouldn't see those things. And now I'm glad to see like, wait, actually, we are going to see those things, and not in the same way, but I'm fine with that. I rather they make reuse those assets and those things that they worked on for X amount of years. But she's like, how do you feel about Stadium overall? Did you think you're on something that you might take seriously, or you think it's like it's really cool concept, you might just have fun with it, or are you kind of like, I'd rather play the default style of Overwatch?
Yeah, so for everybody that knows me, they know like when I'm on Overwatch, it's either comp or scrims. I don't do arcade. I don't really do quick play. Um, but this new mode, like when it comes out, if I were to play those, it would
Mhm.
probably be this mode. I think it looks pretty cool. Um, I'm a little confused as to why it's competitive only. Like I feel like it should be optional. Um, because it doesn't really scream competitive to me. It's more like a game mode you'd have fun with your friends with. Uh, at least that's how I see it. Like I wouldn't mind hopping in with some friends and playing that. Look like with, trying all the new goofy stuff they had, all the new abilities and such. But like it being comp only is a little confusing to me. Feels like I feel like they need to give it an identity, and if they do swing the comp route, that I think there'll be a little bit of chaos for a while. But yeah, it definitely won't sway me over the normal competitive mode, uh, especially not the third person aspect. So it reminds me a lot of like the buy system from Valorant or CS:GO as well. Um, in terms of like the menus, which I think it'll be cool to play, but I don't see myself taking it seriously at all.
That's fair. I mean, I don't see it being like the new, like the esports version of the what we play as Overwatch. Like I don't think it's going to be taken too seriously. Personally, I think it's really cool, and I think it's important. Like I know, obviously, we're a little more biased here because we are a competitive team for an org, and we obviously focused a lot of our time on improving and focusing on whatever is being supported as like the esports side of the game. Um, but I think it's still important for something like this to exist because the player base being bigger only benefits us, right? It makes the game live for longer. It means a bigger audience, which can lead to bigger tournaments, bigger prize pools, things like that. So I definitely am going to try it out. I don't know if I'm going to invest absurd amount of time into it, but if I have a lot of fun with it, then yeah, like that's what I'll be playing. But other than that, like if it's not going to be a hyper competitive thing, I'm still going to focus probably on my energy on just whatever are the whatever are the default modes and whatnot. But do you feel the same way at all, Sapph?
Um, I'm kind of in the boat where it's like, if you play this game for a while, you play it for a reason. And
Mm,
this does not seem like the reason, and I'm kind of like, I'll try it for sure. I think everyone's gonna try it, but like, I'm not like, oh, hell yeah, this is what I've been waiting for this whole time. I kept playing comp, I kept playing quick play to get to this moment. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how many people are actually like, oh yeah, we're cooking. We get the stadium. So I don't know. It's like, obviously I'll try it, but I'm not like stoked. I'm not really. I'm not. I like when I heard about it, I was like, okay. I don't know. Like it's just not intriguing to
Yeah,
me.
I think that's
it
fair. Yeah.
it I think it's like I said, I think it'd be like a good an arcade game, because I know like there are some people that who play Overwatch who just only play arcade or only play quick play, and I think this is something to bring those players back. They may have gone to rivals, other games. The hatred for Overwatch is real for a lot of people.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
I think this may be something that may bring them back. At least just to try it, if not anything else. Um, with the new abilities and stuff, older Overwatch players may want to come in, check it out. So I think it'll be good for the game, at least initially. I don't know how big of a hit it's going to be for said players, because I
Mhm.
know like people who take the game seriously aren't going to really care too much. I think this is mainly just for those arcade quick play players. Um,
The casual
so
crowd.
we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I agree. Like this is definitely for the casual crowd, but um, again, I kind of like reiterate, like I think it's still very important. So it's like it's one of those things like, well, maybe it's not for me, but I'm glad this is happening because
Mhm.
Right.
it means there's potential for Overwatch to be popular again. Not to say it's like the most dead game ever. Obviously, there's an audience that still plays it, but it's a game that's old. It's been a game for a long time, and people will just play like what is the hottest thing, and this could pull people back into this direction. There's a lot of competitors out there now, a lot of games that are still really popular. When people still play Fortnite, when people still play, our Rivals came out, and that's really popular. So anything that kind of pulls people more in the Overwatch direction is just good for us as people who play and love this game so much. But do you feel the same way at all, Badwolf, as far as how much you feel you will invest into this versus how you would invest into the more competitive side, or where are you sitting?
Yeah, that's about how I feel about it. I just like I think it'd be fun to like mess around with, like if you're in Discord with your friends and having a few drinks legally, of course.
Of course.
Then maybe just like you take your silly 5 stack and go into Stadium and just mess around, have fun with the different modifications to your hero. But like if you're like trying to play the game seriously and like trying to like get better competitively, I think this is I think you're gonna give this more of a miss. But I think having the option for the players that do want it, I think that's a good thing, even if it's not specifically for everyone.
Right. No, yeah, I think we're all kind of in agreement with that, and I do kind of want to acknowledge just like the amount of work they put into this, though. Like it needs to be successful too, right? So like obviously I can make the argument like this is really good for the game, and we should be happy about this. But if it doesn't pull what they're trying to pull, with the player base and get people to come over to this game, then it can hurt them because like look how much effort they put into this, right? I've been kind of having some of the slides up while we talk about it, and it's pretty in depth. Like there's a lot. There's like your weapons, your abilities, your survival traits, and starter builds, and like this is pretty full fledged. Like this is more than I would have expected, out of something like this. And obviously they put a lot of time into this, and they put a lot of time into it even before we realized it, because again, a lot of it carries over from PvE, which was in development for a very long time as well. So it's like this needs to pay off for them, this needs to be big with enough audience to have justified it. So I like the amount of work they put into it. It looks pretty promising for the kind of people this is aimed at. But I hope that it has enough long-term appeal, and I hope that that Blizzard is going to be capable of like adding more to it. And because I think you start off with only a certain amount of heroes, right? Like not every hero is even playable.
Yeah, they said
Yeah.
they said they're gonna have like a base roster, but they said that this is gonna get like updates constantly. Like they're gonna
Mm-hmm.
be adding new stuff. Like this is like they were speaking like this is like a big priority for them.
Yeah.
So like they're kind of putting all their eggs in one basket here, and I just don't know if this is like the game mode to do that with. Like this doesn't seem like the next big thing for Overwatch to me, at least. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like maybe they're putting too much stock into it. It reminds me a lot of like the Apex arena mode, with like how quick the rounds go, and then a little bit of the uh, what's that game called that Valve made? That's like League. They replayed it a lot.
Deadlock.
Dota?
Deadlock, yeah, Deadlock.
Deadlock.
It reminds me of like the Deadlock system as well, like in terms of buying the different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I just don't know how popular it's gonna be even for the people that play Quick Play Arcade a lot. Like it just seems so different that I don't know if it's gonna really capture the audience they're looking for, and they're putting like a lot of stock into it. So I'm not really sure how that's gonna work out for them, to be honest.
Yeah, we can only hope that the effort they're putting into this is going to be worth it in the long run. Um, I know I'm confident in that Blizzard is capable of doing it, but this is kind of like a risky scenario because you have to kind of be careful like what audience you're catering to. It's fine whatever one you want to cater to, but you don't want to like split the community too much too, right? Because if there's a ton of focus on and on this, it could hurt the competitive side of things, right? We could be getting a lot less updates to that. Maybe we'll see less patches, for example, for balancing, because they're focused on so much on this. I don't know their resources. Obviously, I don't work at Blizzard, so I don't know if maybe they're hired 100 new people for this kind of project, and they're all in good hands, or if they're kind of stretching themselves thin. I don't know that. That's just speculation. I hope it's not the case, but we can only hope that Blizzard is really thought about this and can navigate this in a way where they aren't hurting any one audience with this, because we are competitive players. Obviously, we're a little biased here, I'm sure there's people that are extremely excited about this, but for us, it's like, okay, it's a little bit of a worry. I'm excited to see that it's something there, but a little bit worried as a competitive player that this is going to get maybe too much focus. But time will only tell, right? When it comes to something like stadiums. But I do want to move on to the more competitive stuff because, we are competitive players and we have some changes that are pretty exciting that are coming to the game. Stuff that people have been asking for a while now, as far as we have map voting, we have the hero bands are a big one that's been asked for a long time. We had hero bands back in the day, but we all remember they weren't the greatest. They were kind of silly how it was chosen, and we didn't have agency as players. But yeah, Badwolf, I know you recall that old system, when a cat decided our heroes that were banned for the season and whatnot. How do you feel about hero bans being introduced to competitive?
I think the way they've gone about it, I think they went about it the right way this time. So I'm cautiously optimistic about it. I've been one that's been mostly against hero bans since the discussion started being brought up recently because of the past trauma of Zoe's cat picking the next 3 heroes to be banned for a week. And it's just like it's just like the past experiences are kind of like, okay, they did it awfully. Do we trust them to actually implement it properly? And the way that they're going about it this time, I feel like it's actually going to be way better because it's way closer to the system that Marvel Rivals uses, even though it's still a little different.
Yeah, I'm also I originally obviously I didn't like the old system. I think it was just poorly done, but just in general, my opinions on the hero bans was like, I kind of didn't want them because I was kind of fine with the way the game was. I was just like, hey, just balance the game better so the strong heroes are not too strong, But obviously, we can't live in a perfect world where the game will always be balanced in a way that we see fit. And I've come around to the idea of hero bans. I think Marvel Rivals kind of opened my eyes up to a little bit more and seeing how it doesn't necessarily always force. It's not always about you just ban the best heroes in the game and it becomes about playing the second best hero in the game, right? It's a little more nuanced than that. I started to realize with time. I saw people banning stuff like Hulk, and I'm like, why are they banning Hulk? And it's like, oh, Hulk's not a good hero, but he has a good team up with so and so. It's like the synergy he has with other characters matters too much, right? So it makes sense to ban Hulk so that your Iron Mans aren't OP. And obviously we don't have team ups in the game. We do have synergies that matter though, right? If they're running a specific comp, that has, I don't know, we've been dealing with some silly comps as of late, as far as Ball and Torb and all that stuff. You have to ban something to break up that composition, right? And you can do that. So your ban isn't necessarily to say we're going to ban the strongest hero we feel. We're going to ban specifically something to break up their composition so that we can be more favorable into the whatever we're playing into. So I do really like the ban system. It adds a layer of strategy. It does make the game more complex. So maybe that's that's a little bit more, something that a casual player would not get behind as much when they go into their ranked games and be like, oh, I got to think about banning people and I don't really know who to ban. I'm just gonna pick somebody that I just don't like. But I feel like for us competitive players who play in an environment like scrims, I like the ban system. I think it adds strategy to the game. And it's just another thing to think about when going into your matches. Kind of be a little more creative. But Sapph, how do you feel about how hero bans is being implemented into Overwatch?
Admittedly, I didn't see too much specifics of how they're doing it, how they're going to be executing it, but as long as, because how you load into a comp game and you see the names of both teams and you
you're not gonna see the names before you ban.
Okay,
They don't show you they don't show
Dang,
any names in the lobby until after bans are done.
I can't
Okay.
ban
That
Mercy.
was one of my main
I can't ban
concerns
Mercy from the
about it,
Mercy
so.
main.
Because I was like, that would be I didn't know if they were confirming they were going to change that. Obviously, they kind of need to, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
My only complaint with it is Cause like I feel like it'd be good because like people who one trick like will be forced to try something different. Granted, it's like, oh my god, the person who's a one trick now has to be on this character, and they don't know how to play anything else. So it would be, I think there'd be a big adjustment period, but I think it's a good change. I also feel like this is like a minor thing, but like having to spend the extra time in a game to go through the voting period is, like I said, this is minor. This is a
Right.
very minor
Yeah.
complaint, but
I hear you.
yeah, I don't know. It's a little annoying to me.
Well, obviously we haven't seen it implemented yet, so we don't know like how much downtime there is at the beginning of the round just to get things started. But it sounds like they're trying their best to make it short as possible.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. We have to wait and see. You know, they can say things, but until we see it in game and we kind of
Mm-hmm.
see how long it actually takes to go through the process, then yeah, that's definitely one of my complaints as well. I'm just like, I don't really want more time in the beginning of the round. Like sometimes my queues are just like 15 minutes long, and then I finally get a game and I got to wait a couple more minutes just to people to ban stuff. And yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. It
Yeah.
it can be a little
That
hit or
makes
miss in
me
ranked. I feel.
that makes me think a little bit like if they're gonna have that like banning phase, like in League or any other game like that, is there gonna be like dodging as well? Like, can you leave in the banning phase and like not get penalized?
Mm,
Like, will it cancel? Uh, because like
Hmm.
right now they don't have any of that. Like when you're in the game, you're in. Like if someone can leave and it'll get canceled, but they get penalized. I wonder if there's gonna be a dodging system. Like maybe you leave, you don't tank SR, but like you can't keep another 5 minutes. Kind of like how League is.
I would hope that they've thought of that at the very least. I would hope that they thought of it and have something in place for something like that. But yeah, I
Because
mean,
I
like Sapph was saying with like one tricks, right? Like in
yeah,
League, if your character gets banned, you just dodge and you wait the 5 minutes. I wonder if
yeah.
they're gonna have something like that. Like if you're a one trick Genji and Genji gets banned, you're just cooked. Like can you dodge the game and then just wait and be chill? Or is it gonna be like, oh no, if you leave, you're losing SR.
Yeah, yeah.
How
Yeah,
does
that's not
Marvel
a.
Rivals do it? Because I actually have never experienced Marvel Rivals bans personally, but like, if you leave during banning phase in Rivals, do you lose SR or I don't know how any of that works.
I'm not
Um,
sure.
I'm gonna keep it a buck. I got like to plat and stop, so I never experienced
I I
bans at
hit
all.
I hit I stopped playing after Diamond and like I experienced the bans, but I never experienced like leaving like during the ban phase. So like I'm not entirely sure. I don't know if there is penalties or not.
Hmm, tough to
Like I've
say.
I,
dodged
Yeah.
I,
plenty of games on League, but so I know how that
I
works.
would assume based on Blizzard tendencies, once you're in the banning phase, you're considered in the game, so leaving would penalize you. But they could surprise me. It's Blizzard.
Mm.
Cheese. So, are you mostly in favor for it? Seems like.
Um, I think overall, yeah, I think I like the bans. I think it like we all know like there's different metas in Overwatch, and when a meta is running rampant, that's just what everyone plays. Like in comp, it's just hazard, hazard, hazard. In the OWCS, it's just hazard, right? I mean, we're seeing like a little bit of a meta switch now. But like with the bans coming in, it's gonna make everyone be a little bit more creative. Uh, in competitive, I think it may be a little bit weird. Like Sapph was saying with like one tricks. Like I don't want someone to ban the one trick Genji and now he's on Torb throwing my game just because someone banned Genji. Um, and like he just can't play anything else. But I think in like esports, like the OWCS, I think it'll be really cool because it'll be like more interesting to watch as a viewer, right? You don't know what they're gonna run. Like Hazard gets banned, what are you gonna play now? Um, and teams aren't gonna run the same thing because
Yeah.
there's bans now. But like at the same time, like with teams like Crazy Raccoon and Junbin, who's like a huge ball player,
Yep.
it's like, well, now they're just gonna ban ball, and he's gonna have to play something else. Like even if ball isn't meta at the time, they just know he
Right.
plays ball.
Yeah.
Like in competitive,
The targeted
you don't know what
ban.
everyone plays. Yeah, you don't know what everyone plays when you load into a competitive lobby. Um, at least if that's what you guys are saying with the bans.
Yeah.
But like OWCS, you know what you know what each other plays. Like these are huge players, so I wonder how that's gonna work as well. But I'm in favor of it. I think it'll make it a little bit more creative, a little more fun to watch.
Yeah, I think the environment like changes it. Like ranked is just going to be so different. I can see there being more problems in ranked. Again, like the one tricks is obviously a big one. Whereas in a scrim environment, in tournaments, things like that, I think it's mostly positive. Like it, now that I've had time to experience it and get to see it implemented into the esports, it just seems way more positive for that environment. My concern mostly right now is ranked. Like, I think that's where I'm a little more wary about it, about how it goes about bans. I think I can see people just like wanting to throw because like we should have banned Genji. You don't listen to me. I'm throwing now. You know,
Oh, we didn't
like
ban Hazard. We're cooked.
we're
Throwing.
cooked. Why are we? How did you guys manage to ban? You know, whatever Life Weaver. Like, what's going on, guys?
Like when Pingu banned Lucio last scrim. Yeah.
Exactly. You're gonna have a Pingu on your team. Like, that's what I'm worried about. I might have Pingu on my team, and it's over. So that's what I worry about. It's the way it's implemented into ranked. And by the way, it's only implemented into rank. Obviously, they're not gonna have any quick play or anything like that. But I feel like it's kind of necessary. Like if you're gonna do it for like the tournaments and stuff, like it makes sense to like implement it into ranked. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you don't have to, but it kind of is what bridges the gap, right? Like there's the very casual, like quick play side of things. There's the competitive, where it's like you take it seriously, and then there's like the extremely competitive, the more hardcore players that actually participate in tournaments or compete at a higher level. And it kind of bridges the gap. So I feel like that's the goal. It's like, hey, we want our competitive mode to like actually be played by those competitive players. And it might, if you try to, if it's too far apart from what the pro scene is playing, then you might find players not wanting to even play comp, right? Because it's just like, I'd rather just scrim all the time then, because it's just it's in the correct, air quotes, correct way to play the game, with the hero bands, with the map picking, everything being a specific way of playing. So I get why they want to push it into comp. But I'm just worried about the results not necessarily always being good, unfortunately. But we'll see with time. Maybe they'll have systems in place to kind of avoid there being like too much chaos caused by it. But we'll see with time. I don't know. Well, hopefully it turns out okay. But what about map voting? That's something that we're not getting for I think a while, they said, and so it's a little further down the line. But one of the unique things that I don't ever experienced in any other FPS games when I went into Overwatch was the fact that you just don't pick the maps. Like you don't pick the maps, you don't vote on them, what the next map's going to be when you load them to your next match. Like I played a lot of, I played some CSGO, so I have some sense of how that game plays it. But I also played a bunch of TF2, and TF2 is a little different because you kind of pick the maps you want to play, from the menu. Like you just decide I'm going to play Dust Bowl, and that's all I'm going to play the entire day. It's the only map I care about, and I'm only going to play that map till I fall asleep. And it's Overwatch, I went into it and I was like, oh, I'm not picking the maps. I'm just deciding for me. I don't want to play this capture point one. I want to play the one with the payload. But with time, I got used to it. It was just, it's whatever. Obviously, when I got 2CP was one that originally I kind of tolerated, and over time I was like, please get rid of it. I'm tired of loading into a 2CP map. But I've always kind of been indifferent, I guess, about adding a vote system. But now I'm kind of okay, depends on what I'm playing. If I'm playing DPS, I really hate playing on sniper maps. I really hate it because I don't play Widow at all. I don't really care for Hanzo much either. So my options are just limited. It's a map that I'm going to.
It's worse as a tank player.
Well, I mean, my perspective is not tank player, but
loading into what's it called? Circuit Royale.
Circuit
it's like,
Royale.
Oh, yeah, let's go GDs.
Yeah.
Let's go play Sigma.
So having some agency, I'm kind of down for that, And it sounds like that's the same case for you, Cheese, right? You are you kind of in favor of the map voting?
I don't know if I necessarily like map voting. I think I'm more a fan of map banning. I really like the system that Rainbow Six Siege has in competitive mode. When you load in, there's 4 maps that the game generates, and then each team gets to ban one map, and then between the 2 remaining maps, it's just random. So you have some agency over what we're playing. Each team gets to ban one map, but it's still kind of random between the 2 maps that are left over.
Okay.
I think I like that system a lot more than just voting on a map.
Okay. To be fair, I don't think we even know how it's going to be implemented. And so it could be in that way, right? Where you're just voting for the one you want to ban, not necessarily voting for the one that you want. but I think they just haven't said much about it because they're probably still working on it, and they still haven't really decided on what system they want to do for the voting. But I kind of like your idea with Rainbow Six Siege. Like, I think that's pretty cool. Like, you just ban it, so you're not like, you know, you're not voting for what you want necessarily, what you favor. So it's kind of still random. It feels still a little fair, you know, to both teams in that way. But you can kind of get rid of that one map where it's just like, no, for sure, I do not want Circuit Royale. Like, let's just get that one out of that pool, and you know, give us one of the other ones randomly. But Sapph, how do you feel about map voting? Do you have any strong opinions on it at all, or?
Yeah. So, I I think everyone has maps they hate for sure. And I've had less maps that I hate because they've been reworking them. And I think that's really cool. Some of the reworks have had no impact on my games. Some of the reworks did. I especially because I know they take feedback too from the game now. Like, I think if they saw if there was a map banning system, like, okay, well, everyone hates this map. Like, no one ever chooses it, like the least, picked map is like this one. Like, and they look through it and
Yeah.
like kind of figure out whatever. I think that's really cool. I think that'd be great for that. Like, I'm all for agency, like more agency in your games. My only complaint is the thing I said for the hero banning, and it's like, yes, let me go through this, 12-page document to make sure everything's set in place before I can play this one game of competitive. It's like,
It's an
I
extra
don't know.
step in
I
there.
think
Yeah.
I think I'm being dramatic. I know I'm being dramatic, but like I keep picturing just them adding more and more stuff that you have to like check off before you start the game. That's my only real like complaint with that. I think overall map picking is just a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah, like in League, like with the character bans, it'll be like a 10-minute queue, and you finally get in a game, and then it's like everyone bans their characters. Now you're waiting on everyone to pick their characters. It's like a huge long process, and the very last guy to pick his character just dodges, and you have to repeat that like 4 times until you finally get everyone
Yeah.
that wants to play the game. And it's like, well, I don't even want to play anymore.
Yeah, it does sound pretty awful.
Sieges is like a little bit quicker. I think they have a good system going. But yeah, it's like one of those things that like Overwatch games are quick, especially depending on like the mode you get. Like you get a push mode that's max 10 minutes. Like you see it on the top of the screen. And some go less than that. 2CP is pretty quick. It's not 2CP. King the Hill is pretty quick as well. So it's like I'm spending 5 minutes choosing all this stuff just to play a 5-minute game. It's like, well, that's kind of a waste of my time. But I think maybe it would. I think it'd be better for the game overall, to be honest.
Yeah. Now, I think Sapph brought up a good point as far as yeah, it does add a little extra time. I think if they're careful about it, it won't cause too much blow. I don't know what else they would add past voting and hero bans, but yeah, it's definitely a concern.
Skin bans.
I
you
can say skin bans.
You ban the skins. Yeah. Honestly, I'm just surprised
No
you
Moira
didn't say.
emote glitch.
I'm surprised you didn't say you're just gonna ban all the Lucio maps, right? When we play
Yeah,
if map voting becomes a thing like within competitive play, like in sort of the esports thing, it's just like let's ban all the Lucio maps. So I get to just play Break whenever I want to.
See, that's like another level of like complexity because
hmm.
if you have the hero bans and then you have the map bans as well, it's like, well, we want to go in with this composition in mind, but they just banned the tank we want to play. So now we want to play a different composition, but they just banned the map we were going to play that composition on. So now it's like, it just like you just
Yeah.
have to switch up so much.
Yeah, that's why it just probably wouldn't be implemented in the same way within the esports because the esports already is like kind of predetermined the maps, right? Like you kind of have a map pool and you kind of know going into it ahead of time, so you kind of scrim the map like, hey, we know we're gonna play Gibraltar against this team. This is practice this as much as possible. Whereas like in your ranked game, obviously it's random, right? Like you're just thrown into a game with another team and the maps are being decided. So it feels like a lot more necessary within comp, right? Within ranked to have a system like this in place because it's just people get tired of the same map that is not necessarily popular, which is something that Sapph brought up. I think that is really probably resonates with a lot of people. Is you have these maps you don't like and you kind of want Blizzard to know like, hey, if we're banning this all the time, you should probably either take it out or change it, right? This is not a good map, not a good map design. And they get the feedback that they need to get. from us. And I'm sure they get feedback because like I remember Paris was like everyone talked about Paris. Like it was obvious. They knew Paris was a problem. They literally removed it because it was a problem. But it took
Paris, my beloved.
it took it like it being very egregious before like something happened, right? Whereas Circuit Royale, I mean, to be fair, probably some Widowmates out there love it, you know? There's people who probably do like Circuit Royale or don't mind it at all. But I do think it's a map that a lot of people don't like to play. So maybe when they see the voting stats, they'll be able to determine like, okay, yeah, maybe this one we gotta work on. And I don't know how in depth they have the stats on their end, but maybe they can even see like the kind of players who are voting for the bans. You know, like hey, every support is banning Circuit Royale. Maybe like support is not fun on Circuit Royale, so let's try to fix the map in some way to where or maybe make better support heroes to like that want to play on that map, right? Because maybe the options are too limited. Things like that. Those are obviously just examples I'm just like coming up with, but that's what I hope to gain from the map voting more than anything. Not just the agency, like sure that's nice, that's pretty cool, but I think I prefer the fact that they get feedback from it is kind of what I see as the biggest benefit personally. But Badwolf, did you say anything about your opinions yet on the map voting?
No, I've not said much about it at all. I said it's Paris, my beloved. But as far as like the feedback system goes, I believe Aaron Keller had said that once it's implemented, if they see like, oh, Havana is never being played, they're gonna be like, oh, Havana's like has like a 10% vote pick, whereas like Kings Row has a 35% vote pick. So like let's even 10% for Havana might be too high. I said that as a Widow main, but no, like if they see that some maps have abnormally low pick rates for them, they said that they're like going to look at that and be like, huh, people aren't playing this map. What's wrong with it? And that at that point they'll like be looking way more into the stats for the map itself.
Yeah.
But aside from you can go ahead, Juice.
No, go ahead and finish your thought.
I was just gonna say, aside from that, like in Overwatch 1, they removed Paris, which I Paris was awful to attack, but I was a Widow one trick when Paris was a thing, and defending first point on Paris's Widow is one of her best maps in the game. So I absolutely loved it, but no, Paris needed to go. But no, like they removed Paris and Horizon Lunar Colony because they were awful maps to play. They were so defense oriented and just they were the most egregious of the 2CP maps that it's just like they needed to go, and maybe with the map voting coming in, they'll pick up on more stuff like that. Like, hey, the community hates Clash. Let's take it out of comp and see what's wrong with it.
Right. Oh yeah, definitely some benefit there with voting and the feedback they get from that. So as far as our last competitive change, that's going to be a big one. Again, this is probably the next biggest thing I think after Stadium being introduced is perks. Perks are going to completely change the game, and it went further than I thought. Like I don't know if you guys saw. There's like there's a sort of screenshot image out there that just like has all of the different perks they're adding. They're adding 4 perks, 2 minor and 2 major perks to every hero. And it's a long list. Like I'm just sitting there thinking, like, how am I gonna memorize this stuff? It's like almost overwhelming. Obviously, we've been playing the game for a long time, so we have the benefit of like being longtime players. Whereas people that are new to the game, they jump into Overwatch, and that kind of onboarding process might be a little daunting for them, right? Like you have a bunch of heroes in the game, you gotta find out what they all do. But we have the benefit of being longtime players, that we already have a long history of playing these characters and understanding how their kits work. So then when a new hero comes out, all you're doing is learning one hero at a time, every couple months. But perks, I feel like I'm learning like 40 new heroes because some of them have perks that like really change the character. Like Orisa gets her old shield back. Like she just becomes old Orisa again, she bunker down, throw a shield and shoot, So I was really kind of shocked to see just how some of the perks affect the characters. From the ones that I read, and I haven't even finished reading them all because there's so many of them. Um, but yeah, geez, like how are you feeling about these perks? There's a lot. You're a tank player. You have to think about a lot. Like as a tank player, you have to sit there and think about a lot of things. How do you feel about an extra layer of things that you have to now think about? As a tank player, you want to jump on somebody and you're like, okay, I'm gonna jump on this Zenyatta because he's my most vulnerable target. Psych, he actually can fly, so he's not the most vulnerable target. He actually is in the air flying away from you. Like, how do you feel about all these perks that change the game so drastically?
Yeah, honestly, this is like the most like nerve-wracking change from this update for me, at least.
Mhm.
Because like they said that, like they're implementing this like instantly as well. Uh, it, I don't know. It just I feel like Overwatch is already such a complex game. Them adding these perks, not only does it kind of like shoo newer players away in terms of learning the game, but it also like flips the entire like competitive scene on its head. Um, because like reading through these, like some of these just completely change the way characters play, and it's almost like everyone's gonna have to relearn how everything works. And I don't necessarily know if that's like a really good thing or not. Um, I don't know. It's just such like a big change. They haven't done anything like this in a long time. I think it's just gonna take some getting used to. I know like esports wise or WCS, they said they're implementing this like the 18th. Like we will be seeing competitive teams play this with new perks like in 5 days. So I think
Jeez.
that's gonna be really interesting to watch. I think it'll be fun to watch. I think the players are probably gonna hate it, to be honest. Uh, but I think maybe it'll bring some hype back for the game in terms of like the competitive scene, just because like we get to see all these new things happening. But it's gonna be rough. Just learning everything again. You know, Winston may not be the dive character anymore like he was. He may be the everyone let's play brawl with Winston because his bubble heals everyone. So it's like I don't know. It's gonna change like everything.
I don't even know Reinhardt's perks, but I find it funny if like somehow Reinhardt became like a better dive tank with a perk or something crazy like that, than Winston, because it's just how drastically it changes the characters. But yeah,
Yeah,
I the anxiety that you're feeling, like I think a lot of players are feeling. It's just being like, this is gonna change so much about the game.
and it's gonna be like mid scrim too. It's like we're gonna be playing, and like because like the different you're gonna want different perks for different situations, and it's gonna be like just another thing I have to think about. It's like oh we're running this composition, and they're running this. Oh my god, what perk should Badwolf upgrade? Oh my god. Oh my god, I have to fight plan and I have to tell everyone what perks they should upgrade. It's over. And then I'm just not gonna do anything. You know, Chaos said just now, like, oops, picked the wrong perk. It's like, well, you're just cooked. Like, it's over.
Yeah,
Like,
that
you
is a
just get,
scary thought.
it's like, oh, my Winston bubble has 2 HP now, but it comes back in 1 second. Like it's just over.
I got Pingu ringing in my Skyrim and he picked the wrong perk on Genji. We're cooked. He's speeding.
Dash is gone.
He removed his
He's now in
deflect,
turret.
so he just dies when he goes in.
Yeah, I don't know. It's something, all right.
Yeah. Are you feeling a similar level of anxiety, Sapph?
Absolutely. Like I saw this stuff, I was like, "Oh god, no. This is going to be so like this officially, I felt it. I'm like, okay, so this is a different game now. Like this isn't the Overwatch I knew. Like I think I genuinely feel it will feel that way. Because like the balancing is just so different. It's like I'm excited and I'm nervous at the same time because I'm like, that's more agency to the players. That's more like there's a problem my team's having, but if I do this perk, this will help that problem. You know what I mean? Like, or like, help fix that maybe. Or like, I don't know. Like, so there's more agency of like how you respond in games, more skill expression. Another like learning curve for players who've been playing for a long time. I understand a lot of the benefits of it, but I don't know, like how are they gonna balance this? And how are they rolling this out in comp immediately without like having the entire player base
Yeah, that,
use it. It's like, what? I don't know. This is a little crazy to me how quickly they're changing.
it is crazy. That's like, oh, our entire esports scene is gonna be playing with these perks in 5 days. Good luck.
And
Yeah.
then
Like
a little bit after that,
no
you're
one's played
playing
with
it.
them.
Even
Yeah,
in
no
comp,
one's
even
played
if
with
you're
the
not,
perks.
yeah, even if you're not an esports player, you go into comp, the game is different now. Like I get it.
That's
I get
crazy.
I get why they're doing it so immediate because it's like, well, they want to coincide it with the reset. It's like, okay, we have to reset the ranks because people's ranks aren't gonna match up anymore. Like you could have been a Masters player in the old version of Overwatch, but maybe with perks, you don't adapt very well to it, and now you're a plat, right? So it's not fair to keep you a Masters anymore. Or maybe you're a better player because you understand how to better adapt to situations, and perks let you do that, and you can go be the GM player now. But the only way they can really do that is to rank reset, right, and or have at least like some sort of soft reset to the ranks, so people can kind of get shifted into the correct ranks more quickly. So I get it, but it's so jarring. Like, remember the reset last year when we had season 9? We had a big change. They were like, the hitboxes are going to be different. The health pools are going to be different. It's going to change things up enough for us to justify a reset. And I was like, okay, I understood it. And I was like, cool. But this one's like even more extreme. Like the game will never be the same ever again. Like this, as long as this goes through and stays the way it does, it's going to change the game completely. And a part of me is like somewhat excited because it's just like it's almost like playing a new game. I get to be excited about something brand new. But at the same time, it's like I gotta learn so much. Like I'm gonna be so like I feel like if I don't hop in it right away and try to learn everything right away, I'm gonna fall behind. Right? Like I'm gonna players are gonna get really good at it, and I'm gonna jump into every game frustrated because I'm just like, oh, I didn't know what that did. I don't know what's going on. It was I walked into a room and I was getting shot at and I couldn't find the turret. It was on this fucking ceiling, like it was going to be somewhere where I can't like deal with it, right?
It I hate to like keep drawing comparisons to different games because I know I'm doing that a lot, but it reminds me of Pokemon Unite. I don't know if you guys ever played that. Like the Pokemon League of
I've
Legends
seen it.
game. Well, in that game, it has like the leveling system, right? And when you level up, you get to choose your ability, and there's like different abilities, and that's kind of like exactly what this is. And it makes me wonder, like, if it's gonna be like the league like level up system where you don't even have to level, like you don't have to pick your ability instantly. Like you can just sit there and not pick one. I wonder if you can like wait.
Hmm.
You
Like
don't have
let's
to
say,
pick it immediately.
yeah, that's crazy to me. Imagine like you're playing Zen, right? And you see them on a dive comp, and like you just don't choose your perk until they dive you, and you're just like, okay, now I can use this, right? You can hold it and then just like pick your perk based off the situation, and that's like as an enemy, you don't know what they have until they use it as well. So it's like you have no idea how to approach a situation because you don't know what perks they have.
Uh, let me
Mhm.
interrupt you there, Cheese. You will know what they have because it shows on the
Oh,
scoreboard what your team has and what perks the enemy team has.
okay. Well,
Like
I
it
guess it's
shows.
still like the same thing. Like they just don't have to pick it. So like you don't know you don't know what they're gonna pick until they pick it as well. So like
Yeah,
that's a
but
little
like
interesting to me.
in the scenario you gave where it's like, oh, you don't pick it till you get dove. Like if you pick it in the middle of combat, you're just gonna die because it stalls your character because you're opening a menu to pick it. Uh,
Oh, you're opening it. It's not
and
like just on your screen.
no, you have to hit. I think it's left alt by default, and then it's either left click or right click to choose your perk. So like you can't move and you can't fire while you have the perk menu open. So it and also like once you pick your perk, you're locked into that perk for the entirety of the game. So it's like you
Yeah,
pick
that
the
makes
perk
sense.
that's like perfect for that 1 second where you're getting dove, but like once you go on to the next point, they change comps. That perk's completely useless now. So
I
like
wonder how fast it'll be
it's
though.
not.
Yeah, because
What
if
if
it's
I
like
already
It's
know
based
like
on
what
what I
I
your
mean
ult
want?
charge.
by
It's
It's based on your
if
what?
you already know the rate you get the perk is based on your on how fast you build ult. Uh,
Hmm.
it's directly tied to ult charge. But also uh, it's fairly quick. Like once you know, like if you go into a game like, oh, I'm playing Kiriko for the 18th game in a row, typical Tuesday for me. But I know, I see what team comp the enemy's on. I know what what perks I'm gonna get in what order. Like as soon as I see the thing, I literally just hit. Oh, I hit left alt left click in a second, and I have my perk. No time wasted.
I I was wondering about like the XP system, right? Because like they said it's like kind of leveling up. Like I get there's not gonna be levels, but people on your
Uh,
team are gonna get
it,
it at different times, right?
Yeah, because it is based on your ult charge, and the thing. Oh my God, Chaos! I wasn't even referencing that, but anyway, but the way it works is like, yeah, it's tied on your ult charge, but like if you fall behind, there's a catch up mechanic to it. Because if you swap heroes, you go back to the level 1 without any perks. Uh, but there's the catch up mechanic, so like if everyone else in the game is on level 1 close to level 2 and you swap heroes, you're gonna get level 1 fairly quickly, and so you can get to level 2 around the same time. And also, I believe on Koth maps and like the way they do it in like hybrid and payload's a little weird, but in Koth maps, once you get to the 3rd round, you're gonna have your second perk no matter what. And with hybrid and escort, perks reset between rounds, so you can
Yeah,
choose different perks on attack than you do on defense.
that's what I was
And
gonna ask. Yeah.
once you get to the 3rd and 4th round, you automatically start with level 2 perks.
Yeah, I was gonna ask like a maps like Nambani, like do they reset after rounds? But yeah, you answered the question.
Yeah, they reset between the 1st round and the 2nd round, and then they reset going into the 3rd round, but you're automatically level 2, so you can immediately pick your perks in the 3rd and 4th round.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It just makes me feel like there's less stuff I can control. Like I feel like right now Overwatch is you have a general idea of what's gonna go down, right? With the comps you're playing or how you wanna play a map, right? And it's like now that they're adding all this stuff, it just adds more variables to how you play. And I don't necessarily know if that's a good thing long term. Like eventually everything will get figured out, it always does, in terms of metas and what to use, what not to use.
Right.
But it's like it just seems almost chaotic in a way. Like it's becoming more arcadey than it is organized. Like right now, I think Overwatch is pretty organized in the way it's set up. Like
There's
everyone
like a
knows what everything
structure to
does.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a structure, and then they're
Yeah.
gonna add all these things, and it's like, well, now it's just arcadey, right? You can
I'm
just pick different
fairly
abilities.
sure. I'm fairly sure that's by design, because I think I may be misremembering, but I think Aaron Keller actually said that this is supposed to bring more of that like early Overwatch chaotic fun back into the game. Because
That's kind
my
of
my
that's kind of
opinion,
like why I'm wondering why it's being like pushed into competitive in esports. Because if that's their goal to like make it arcadey and fun, just make it an arcade mode. You know, like I don't necessarily agree with like putting all these changes out for the purpose of making it more chaotic. You know what I mean? At least like not competitively speaking.
yeah, I'm not sure how like it's gonna work, how well it's gonna work on the competitive side of thing. I'm cautiously optimistic about like how it just feels to play the game. I think it'll make the game more fun, even if it's a little less like competitive. But the main thing I feel like yeah, I kind of agree with what y'all are saying. Like it feels like we're going into a new game. It feels more like we were just playing Overwatch 1.5.793, and we're officially going into Overwatch 2 with this patch.
Yeah, I mean that's actually kind of true. Like I know a lot of people have argued like just get rid of the 2. It's pointless. They didn't actually make Overwatch 2. PvE got canceled. Blah blah. But I feel like this actually should have, like if it wasn't going to do PvE, like this is what they should have done to release Overwatch 2. Granted, it could make or break the game, right? Like people could just hate the perks overall, but like this is actually a big enough change to like warrant the title of a sequel. You know, the game actually is changing. It's fundamentally is going to be different than what Overwatch 1 was, right? Um, and yeah, like, I think the concerns you guys have are valid. Like it is, as a competitive player, there are going to be some growing pains. You're going to have to figure out a lot of things. There's going to be a lot of frustration of just being like, well, I didn't know Sombra could do that. Now I know. I found out at the most crucial time possible what Sombra could suddenly do. So I do worry about that. But I am again. I'm also kind of like Badwolf. I'm like kind of cautiously optimistic about things, and I'm just like, well, maybe with time, the player base will figure things out, and it'll just like how I know how many heroes in the game right now. like roughly? Do we
42,
know?
I believe.
42. I somehow know 42 heroes like the back of my hand. I can tell you everything about every character, even the ones I don't play at all, because I just know them. I have to know them, right? If I'm gonna be fighting against them, I gotta know, what they can do. Um, and maybe there's a day where I just know all the perks. I know every single perk that every hero can do, and I'm prepared for it for any scenario. Um, but there's also the concern of maybe I'm capable of doing that, right? Maybe me as a player, if I'm a hardcore player, I go to the trouble of learning all these perks, and I know it like the back of my hand. But what about the casual players? They come into the game, and there's just maybe it could be overwhelming just to have so many other abilities they don't know about. Um, it could depend too on. I think casual it's like a little maybe it's a little overblown to say like the casuals will be like overwhelmed when like if you're really casual you probably like don't know what's going on anyways, right? Like you're probably so just like I like the character that shoots like this kind of gun because it's cool because I feel like a turret and it makes me feel cool and I got wheels and I'm driving around, I'm Bastion, I'm having a lot of fun doing that, right? They aren't really caught up at specifically like what each character can do. But I feel like there's also a bridge between that very newbie player, the casual player, and the player who is trying to get competitive, right? Who is like trying to learn the game. That's the player I worry about, right? Because they're going to come into it and it's just like, okay, this game's fun. I'm trying it out. I'm having fun with this, Genji character. He's a ninja. He seems really cool. But I don't know what these characters are doing. Like I deflect, but for some reason it deflects this thing, but doesn't deflect that thing. That's something you have to learn. We all have to learn with Overwatch. But adding an extra layer to that, like it might get to a point where it's overwhelming for that player who wants to get into the competitive side. And it's like, how do we onboard those players to learn this game competitively when there's that much more they have to now be concerned about? That's my major concern. I'm not sure how much you guys agree on that, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I understand where that's coming from, but the main counter argument I would have for that is there are a lot of games that already do this. So like if they can bring in new players and like get them from casual to competitive and whatever they're doing, then I don't see a reason why Overwatch couldn't. But I know Overwatch is also one of the most visually cluttering games out there as well. Like if you got
Mm-hmm.
double Kitsune, double Juno ult with Ramatra ults and just everything going on, it can get hectic and you just see nothing but rainbows and everything on your screen. You won't know what's going on. But
Yeah.
I feel like if I feel like I don't think it's a deal breaker for new players. It
Mm-hmm.
might be a deal breaker for someone who's like maybe trying to go from casual to competitive, but I don't think that's inherently an issue with the system itself. I think that's just more of like maybe they don't have the time to put into the game. Like I know
Mm-hmm.
some people who played Overwatch or played Apex, like they kind of played Deadlock casually because new FPS shooter, I'm gonna try it out. But like all the MOBA mechanics that Deadlock has, just was like I don't have the time to put into this game that I could be putting into the game I'm actually playing competitively.
Are they implementing perks into like everything? Like, is it
It's
only
it's
competitive? Is it quick
core
play?
it
It's
it's
just
core
core.
gameplay.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm wondering too if like the reason Stadium is kind of also being introduced is because like that is for the casual player. It's just like that's where you get to just not really care, and you have sure you have like a lot of stuff you can do on that too. I guess in some ways Stadium can be a little overwhelming, but it's not probably gonna be taking that seriously that people really care, right? Um, it's more that like, hey, you have a bunch of options in Stadium, and it's fun because you get to just like customize your character, and people like doing that. It's a little more RPG style of gameplay. So maybe they're like not so concerned because it's like, hey, the most casual players that are just there to have fun and don't want to be overwhelmed by stuff, like probably gonna jump into that and just they're not even thinking about what other characters can even do. They're just gonna be thinking about what they can do with their character. I want to buy all the talents for my character so I can start flying through the air and doing crazy stuff that I normally wouldn't be able to do. And they're so much focused on that aspect of the game that they're less concerned about like, well, what are they countering me with perks and blah 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 and that kind of thing. But I kind of want to put it into a perspective here for people that are watching as well. I have like an image that shows all the perks and it's like comically large. Like you won't even be able to see like, and you can't read it. Like it's so many perks that the image I pull it up and it is like ant size font to look at. So
I
this is
Yeah, I believe I was actually wrong earlier. I think there's 44 heroes in the game, which would come out to 176 different perks.
yeah, it's so many new abilities. And okay, to be fair, some of them are kind of like whatever. It's like you kind of reload faster, then like you do a little less damage. Like there's some like minor ones like that that I don't think are crucial enough to be like I got to worry about if she can shoot faster. You know what I mean? Like it's not going to be a huge difference in the grand scheme of things. But then there's going to be ones, you know, that complete alter an ability. Like like Orisa loses an ability and gains a new one, and you have to like know. You have to know like, oh, she can do this now. So
I know Bastion has one where it changes his turret form from shooting bullets to shooting grenades.
yeah, and you're gonna find out when that grenade goes flying to your face. You know, you're gonna find out when a grenade goes flying to you, and you're just like, oh, okay. I think I die now because I just didn't think you would shoot a grenade at me. You know, but yeah, it's a lot to have to think about, but there's anxieties. I think, you know, the only thing we can do at this point is very soon when season 15 drops, we'll see what all these changes do to the game and how it's implemented and how it'll affect the game. Overall, you know, I'm excited that something's happening. I'd rather something be happening than us just be stuck with what we've been having for a long time now. But yeah, I want to start just moving on to our final thoughts here. And yeah, I'm going to go through everybody and we're going to just kind of give you any final thoughts you might have, any final opinions that maybe you didn't get time to say earlier. And then also just tell me out of 10, what do you think the spotlight was for you? Like the levels of hype or, you know, what you would rate the overall information that we were shown. And then, of course, let us know if you think they cooked and to what level they cooked, you know. So I'll go ahead and start off and say that I was pretty cautious when they announced the spotlight. I felt that I've been burned before by Blizzard, you know. I've had promises broken, so my hopes were not that high. Though when it got closer and closer to the actual reveal, like there was a little bit hype creeping in because I was just like thinking in my brain, analyzing, just being like, wait, could they add this and that? And so I started to get a little hype, just being like the potential of things, but I was still like kind of like cautious. I would say it like surpassed my expectations overall. I did not think this much would get revealed. I think they revealed way more than I thought they would. I understood like the situation they are in with Marvel Rivals being a competitor, and they want to kind of show as much as they possibly can. Right now, it's kind of important. A lot of eyes are on them. Literally, a spotlight is on them. So they have to really wow us. And overall, I'd say after I watched it, like in the moment watching it and being like, wow, this is so much information, I was at like a 9 out of 10. Like I was pretty excited. I was like, this is crazy. I did not expect so much. But after thinking about it and getting more information on it and having this conversation with you guys, I think some of the hype wore down a little bit, and I'm more like at maybe like an 8 out of 10, which is still pretty good. You know, it's still like a good spotlight. A lot of good information. I felt like would be like a really good BlizzCon year for me. But I am cautious about some things. There's a lot of things to be excited about, but I'm cautious about perks. Stadium, I think it's awesome. But perks are the one that really stuck out to me, being like, this is going to shake things up and it can make or break this game. Like it could actually make or break the game. It could be a thing that it just turns out it's just 2-1 balance. And I don't want a world like we were not too long ago where people were debating, like, do we need to go back from 5v5 to 6v6? Like, we need to revert all the stuff we've done. You know, I don't want a world where, you know, 6 months down the line, we decide, actually, we're going to go back to like just the original. We're going to take all the perks out, and now we're back kind of square one again. And we essentially just didn't get anything new out of it. But that's obviously the most like doomer, you know, POV at that point. But overall, I would say they cooked. I'm pretty excited about what's to come, and it definitely surpassed what I thought. Granted, my expectations were pretty low. I was pretty much not expecting a whole lot. That like groundbreaking, like really, like what are you gonna do? Like change the health pool some more? Or we're gonna have 300 HP instead of 250, you know? But like they said what they were going to do. It's groundbreaking. Like you can't deny it. Whether you hate it or not, you hate perks or not, you can't deny that it actually is groundbreaking. Like this will change the game forever. Like fundamentally, this game will not be the same. It is adding a whole new layer to the game that was not there before. So, yeah, those are my final thoughts. Cheese, you got any final thoughts you want to share and what your rating is?
Yeah, I think it was a good spotlight. I mean, I think I'll rate it like a 7 out of 10. They gave a lot of information. You know, I think they didn't let us down in terms of the quote unquote groundbreaking changes that they hyped up. Um, I don't, I can't really say if they cooked or not because I just have to see all these things in action. You know, like I think they're simmering it right now. Like I don't
It's
know
still
if
on the
this is really good
stove.
for the game or really bad. Yeah, this could be terrible for the game. I don't know. Um,
That's fair.
so did they cook? It's to be determined.
Okay.
It's simmering right now. But I think it was a good showcase. You know, a lot of skins,
You at least like
cosmetics,
what you see,
news.
right? Like it's on the stove right now, but you're like, all right, it's not too bad. This could be good.
Everything besides the perks. I just can't. Right now, I'm leaning towards it's not that great. But
Okay.
you know, I don't know. It may be amazing. I just got to see. But like in terms of everything else, I thought it was great. I think it's going in a good direction.
Okay. That's fair. That's a very fair take, I feel. Badwolf, how are you feeling?
Uh, they gave a lot. I was not expecting nearly this much from the showcase, even with it being like our own little Overwatch BlizzCon. I feel like all the cosmetics they shown were amazing. All the concept art, if it translates well into the game, like it's all gonna be really good. The art team always cooks. The art team all is like amazing. I feel like the new adding back loot boxes was definitely something I liked, but that's on more the controversial side, but I feel like the way they implemented it was very nice. Uh, the new stadium game mode, I really think they cook with that. I think it'll be really nice for like a specific subset of the player base, which if they lean on it and it pops off, then by all means. Perks, I was really excited for perks at first, but it's just like now I'm more along the lines of I really want to wait and see how impactful it really is. Uh, because like I know some of them are completely bonkers. Like Kiriko can teleport for free within 3 seconds of her first teleport. So it's like I can teleport to Cheese in the enemy backline, throw some papers, and then teleport back to Sapph on the other side of the map.
Right.
And it's just like I feel like that's more gonna be a wait and see, but like I definitely feel like they cooked. I'm at a solid 8 out of 10 currently. I feel like they cooked. Now it's just the you gotta wait to see if they cooked too hard. It ended up burning.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair. And I agree on the sentiment too about perks where it's like I definitely lean a little more towards cheese as far as the how cautious I am about it. But I can agree with like some of the perks are like really exciting and I want to use them. You know, like it's almost like I wish that's just part of the character. You know, I wish the character could just do those things because they're so cool. So at least trying them out is going to be fun. So I can agree on that front. But yeah, Sapph, what are your final thoughts?
um. Okay, I'm gonna separate this two different things.
Okay.
So, the normal Overwatch stuff, as far as like cosmetics, new weapon skin, the slight changes of new heroes, loot box returning, potential competitive changes, whatever. That I like all that together. I feel like they really like that's all good stuff. I think they're on the right track. I'm really excited to try everything, get everything. Like I like 10 out of 10. As far as stadium goes, that's a separate thing for me. I'm kind of like I don't have an opinion yet. I want to try it. I want to, I have like a group of friends I play with, and then we end up playing quick play a lot of times. They're not really super competitive. They just like playing to hang out. And I think Stadium, I was like, Stadium as a concept sounds like something we could do, but then it's like it's competitive, so I'm like, I just don't know how to feel about it basically. Um, as far as perks, I fear this might make or break me staying on this game after I've been here for so long. Because the initial idea of it really annoys me because I don't know. Like it feels like it's adding a lot of it's not random because you can pick which perks, but like that's a lot of changes to add so suddenly to a player base, and like I don't know, man. Like I definitely could adjust. There'd just be a long adjustment period. I want to at least get through that adjustment period to like feel if it's like, is this the same game that I've been playing for so long, or is this a different game and that I'm not really vibing with? And that really scares me. Like, I mean, it's like, oh, it's a game, you can't play more, boohoo. But it's like I've played this game for a long time. Um, I've met my boyfriend that I live with on this game. I've met some like my best friends through this game. You know what I mean? Like met my IRL friends. We play this game. You know what I mean? It's like it was kind of crucial for me. So I'm just kind of like I'm bummed. I'm very nervous. I'm just like I hope this ends up being a good change. I hope they put enough care into it, and like they're doing everything else, enough care and consideration, and that they're pretty confident it'll be a good change. Hopefully I'm not just like an odd man out here that's like, oh, this sucks, even though it's cool change. Like, yeah, change is great. Like, it's nice to have something new. I'm definitely excited about that, but this is so out of the ballpark and different, changing core gameplay that I don't know. I'm a little anxious, I guess.
I think that's valid.
But
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I think
it's a really
everyone
valid
is
take.
to some extent.
Yeah. I think it's, if you look at it from our perspective too, as like more competitive players, it's just gonna affect us way more, right? I think a lot of casual players, like they stop playing the game anyways, then come back to it and be like, oh, I can do what as like Torb now? That's pretty cool. Like they're just gonna have fun, right? It's new toys to play with, right? You get like these new cool abilities to mess around. But for us, it's gonna affect us heavily. So it does kind of put into question, like, what direction is Overwatch trying to go with? I think you're trying to cater more to that casual crowd and add a bunch of things in that'll pull them in, kind of like how Rivals was able to do. I know a lot of the friends I have that are much more casual, they play Rivals and now just only play Rivals, right? Like that's like their focus on the game, gets to new things, a new exciting new thing to play, new characters, yada yada. But the more competitive players, like they still stick to Overwatch, even if they've played some Rivals. They just feel like Overwatch is a overall more quality game for them. And it depends what direction they're trying to go. But I can understand the anxiety, and I feel like I'm willing to let Blizzard. I'm willing to let them cook. You know, I'm willing to let them to do what they can, because there have been a lot of changes to Overwatch over the years, and haven't loved all of them, but there have been a lot of times where I'm like, why are they changing this? It just seems kind of silly. And then I tried, and I'm like, okay, it was overblown. Like I got a little too caught up in like the changes happening. You know, I got used to the changes with time. So I think this season, season 15 is going to be a little rough adjustment as players. I don't even think I want to jump into comp. I want to just like, I'll probably just play quick play, figure out the perks, that, you know, that level of understanding until I am ready to jump into the more competitive side of things. Because really I have to just learn new things. And I know I can do it because I've done it for years. There was a point in time where like, it was like a quarter of the roster, you know, that we have now. We have like 44, I believe, or when we were going to have 44 with the ones that we've announced. And I've been able to do that. So like, what's stopping me from being able to learn some new abilities? It's all at once, so it's a little like daunting, but I'm also going to be playing the game a lot because season 15 has a bunch of other things that I want to get. I want to get the skins and try out get some the new rewards, loot boxes, a bunch of reasons to play the game. So maybe if I'm already going to be playing a lot in season 15, it won't take me that long to learn a lot of the new stuff.
Yeah, and realistically speaking, Overwatch had to do something. Like
Yeah,
the
that's true.
they're kind of losing like both player bases. They're losing the casual players because the game's just been out for so long, and all the like players who played casually, they just hate it. I don't know why. So they all moved to rivals. So they're losing the casual player base, and but they're also like treating their competitive pretty bad too, like in terms of esports and everything. Like Overwatch League used to be huge. Now they have OWCS, and like the matches aren't even on the main menu. You don't know when they're playing. And I think they had to do something to bring at least one of those groups back, at least have a reason to come back. And I think they're leaning more towards casual players with this update, which is like kind of nerve-wracking because I feel like Marvel Rivals is the casual game now. I feel like Overwatch shouldn't
Mhm.
try to change its identity to being a casual game. I feel like Overwatch is more polished and it's more competitive and it's more complex, and I like it that way. But like, I feel like they're adding all these things to bring casual players back, which is great. I mean, that is the core player base is casual players for Overwatch. Like,
Yeah,
obviously we're on the more competitive side, but that
it's the
is the
bigger
player base is
audience, to be fair,
casual.
right?
Right. Yeah, but now it's like, well, now if you're leaning more into casual, you're even more competing with rivals, right? And it's Overwatch is an old game. Um, I just think they need to like tread carefully about how they do all this. Like this is they needed to do something. It's just how is that something gonna work? Like how well is it gonna work? Is it gonna? It's like this either like makes the game flop or like it brings everything back. At least like it's
Mhm.
never gonna be the good old days, like the golden age of Overwatch, but
Of course, yeah.
it it's just so many changes. I don't know. It either kills Overwatch or it brings it back. To me, at least. Like if I'm really like unhappy with the state of the game after like a couple months of this, like I don't know like my future for the game. Like right now, I know my goals and ambitions and all that, but that may change drastically depending on how the game plays. Like if it's a completely different game that I just don't enjoy scrimming or like trying to compete in, then I really don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, no, I agree with your sentiment for sure. Um, but honestly, we're at this point now where it's like time will tell. Good news is it's not that long until we find out what a lot of the changes are.
Like
Obviously,
5 days.
yep, 5 days we're gonna know.
Best believe I'm gonna be watching those OWCS matches. I want to see the
Yes,
pros squirm. I want to see them all like
gonna start
run around
studying
and try to figure
early.
stuff out.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm gonna be playing a
They're also
ton for
adding
sure.
they're also adding like a new region, right? They're adding China
Yes,
to
Mm,
OWCS,
China's being added. Yep.
and Brazil is gonna be like a subset of Asia, right? The Asian region.
I'm not sure about that one, but I
Well, Brazil's gonna be added in some form.
oh, okay, okay.
So that means more OWCS games. They're also adding sponsored teams, which is like cool. They're trying to bring some of the hype back for it, which is also like why I'm a little confused with all the new changes. It's like they're trying to push both, but I feel like they're gonna end up neglecting like the competitive side a little bit.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I don't know. I'm happy that they're at least putting some
Doing
effort into the
something.
esports scene as well. Right,
Yeah.
yeah. Adding another region, there's gonna be more games. They're adding a whole nother stage, more events. We're gonna have league skins back for the teams that are sponsored. So I'm just
Yeah.
glad they're doing something in that regard as well.
No, yeah, I agree. We'll see in 5 days how we're, and obviously it's not just in 5 days because a lot of these things are going to be rolled out through season. So we won't see how hero bans are going to impact the game until later. We won't see how map voting, things are over the course of this year is going to determine a lot. But I think what probably describes how most of us are feeling about this spotlight and our overall reaction is really we're kind of like some of us maybe are more cautious than others, but I feel like at least some of us have some optimism, so we're kind of cautiously optimistic about what all these changes will do. Um, but yeah, we'll find out pretty soon. Um, anyways, I want to wrap things up now. I want to thank three of you for joining me today.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
mhm.
It's been a great talk and getting to hear. I've been wanting to talk about the spotlight since it ended, and I'm just like I want to type in the chat and say what I feel, but I'm just like, I gotta save it for the podcast. But I appreciate you guys taking your time out of today. We don't scrim today, so I know this is kind of like out of your normal time. But I appreciate you guys joining me. I appreciate everybody that was listening. People in chat, I did read a lot of your comments and whatnot, and I appreciate you guys hanging out with us. And as well as the gifted subs. I know Badwolf gifted a sub to Flutter. I know Sapph gifted one to her friend Cubic, right?
No, CC Ubik. He gets a
CC
new one.
Ubik. Oh.
CC Ubik.
Oh,
W.
nice. Okay.
Should have given it to me instead of her, but it's understandable. I get it.
Oh,
Oh my god.
I know
I'll tell him.
Coffee had subbed as well. Nibiru subbed. And a couple of falls in there as well. So I appreciate you guys doing that. We do these podcasts. I don't want to be correct about this, but I think it's like once a month we tried to do something. But you can follow us obviously here on Twitch. We stream it live every time we do a podcast. As well on YouTube, we upload the VOD later on. So if you just want to listen on your own time, whether you're driving, whatever you want to do, you're playing a game, have it in the background. We talk about a bunch of stuff. We don't just talk about Overwatch. We talk about other games as well, even non-gaming related topics. So if you want to catch more of that, go ahead and follow on the Twitch and sub on our YouTube, Xzile Esports on both those platforms. But I thank everyone for being here today, and thank everyone for listening. And yeah, we'll catch you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Love you all.
I just want a quick shout out to Morbid for giving us this platform to talk on as well.
Thank you,
Yes,
Morbid.
Morbid.
Thank you, Morbid.
Thank you, Morbid, the greatest
Thank you for
CEO.
unbanning me.